Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of. Well, I don't even know what our podcast is called. Right? I call it 30 Podcast Chatting with, and then tonight's guest is Miller Ross. So I appreciate Miller. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. You are our official second guest, even though our first guest was on the show twice in a row. So
Ooh.
you're our second guest. Chat. I appreciate you guys all showing up. We are obviously I have Miller on because he is the master of hype. I mean that in a way because back in Marvel's Avengers days, he was single handedly keeping the hype alive with this game. And we all like the people that liked Marvel's Avengers loved it, and we loved looking at the tweets, just keeping us on the edge of the seats, like who's coming, what's coming down the line, and obviously we all know what happened with that game, right? So we are now doing Suicide Squads, and we will get to Suicide Squads and talk about Suicide Squads, but I want to know who Miller Ross is, right? So I want to find out. So Miller, when did you start? When did you start gaming? Like, what was the first game that got you into gaming?
Well, I was born into a house that had like a Famicom. Like we had Super Mario Brothers like before I could walk, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So definitely Mario. Mario 1 was like my first game. Um, I remember my sister had like flown on a plane or something and she got like a Game
I was
Boy
gonna say it
as
had to
like
be a
a
Game Boy,
yeah,
the
well,
old brick,
she
the
got
old brick one, right?
yeah, she got given a Game Boy as like a be good on the plane gift, and that got passed down to me when I was a kid, so I had, like Kirby's Dream Land, like the first one, or yeah, um, like, legit, like, first wave of modern console gaming, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, across the board.
Yeah, I started back in
Um,
the Atari 2600 days. So back in the
yeah.
late 70s, early 80s. When I say so my channel is it used to be called 30 and Still Gaming, and I changed it to 30 NSG because I didn't want people to keep going, oh, it's my gamer tag and stuff was at 30 and Still Gaming, but everyone's like, oh, you can change your name when you turn 40 and stuff like that. So I changed it to 30 NSG, so it stands for news, shows, and gaming, right? So uh I've been gaming since I was 3, and people are like, "Yeah, sure you were." And I'm like, "No, no, seriously, I was gaming since I was 3 years old." I mean, the Atari games weren't that difficult, right? Like Pitfall and bowling and tennis and and pong and stuff like that.
Mm.
So, is there a memory? Is there a memory when you were a kid, not just of playing like Mario or anything, but is there anything like did your parents play games, and is there a memory back then? Because I remember the very first time I played bowling, and I don't know if you know the Atari 2600 bowling. It's that distinct. It made this noise of the v v v v. It was like 3 pixels that you were throwing down a lane, and it like really bad graphics, bad sound. But for some reason, that just is etched in my brain. Is there a moment like that in gaming for you?
Um, well, I remember when I was a kid, like, especially too because the games that we grew up real like, I grew up really, really poor. So,
Same.
like, a lot
Parents
of our games
parents work 2 jobs each and stuff like that. Yeah.
like, retro gaming as an investment was not really a thing yet at that point, so the older the game was, the cheaper it was, you know
Right.
what I mean?
Yep.
And so all of my games were, like, basically the oldest you could get your hands on. And as a result, a lot of them were, comparatively simple beside today's games. And so it was a much easier sell, I think, for my mom, because like I was raised with just my mom, to like jump in. So like she played some Mario. I remember my mom playing some Mario for sure. But now I think she's reserved to the Wii bowling. And you know
Oh,
what?
yeah.
I gotta say, like, it's been because the Wii came out in 2006, I think, right? It's
Uh,
been
yeah, it's been like 2005, 2006, something like that.
yeah, it's been like 18 years basically since the Wii.
That's pretty
And,
crazy.
like, they're still playing the Wii Sports. Like, I gotta hand it to them. Like, I know the industry's changed since then, and the whole blue ocean strategy, I think, sort of turned on itself a little bit.
Right.
But what they accomplished that gen, I don't think can be understated. Like, I'm still setting up the Wii Sports for mom and grandma. and they're still playing, like, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I love it.
I have a story about the Wii bowling. So my grandmother at the time, she's not with us anymore, but she was like, I think she was like 86, and she liked playing the Wii bowling, and she forgot to put the strap around her wrist. So when
Oh,
she
no.
when she went to go bowl, she like chucked the controller and like torpedoed towards the television set, and she felt so bad, and it was hilarious. We all were just laughing our asses off. Oh, and you can curse on the show if you have a bad mouth. I do. So like she was this short, like 4'8" Italian woman. She spoke English, but she was hysterically laughing. It's just a memory like that. I mean, how many people broke television sets with the Wii remotes? That little strap.
Well, they did that whole condom thing
Yeah, well,
afterwards,
that's
like,
right. That's
with
right.
all
The
the
little the silicone condom.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
they gave them out for free, like, all you had to do was give them a serial number, and they'll send you 4 of them, like,
Yeah, because they
those
didn't
were
they
good
didn't want the
times.
receipts to keep breaking television sets that they were kept going.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was such a weird gen, I loved it.
Did you
And
did
that
you
was where Xenoblade came from, my favorite series now of all time, you
is
know?
is
I
that
love
your
that
your favorite
generation.
series? 'Cause someone asked
Definitely,
in chat,
yeah.
Travis in chat asks, what's Miller's top 3 game franchises?
Okay,
That's number
well
1, so
I would say one is, like, Xeno series overall, like, I love Gears and Saga both as well so much, and I'm so excited for what the future holds for Xeno. Um, whew, that's tough after okay, here's a weird one, number 2, I'd have to say is probably, like, Mario Party.
okay.
I
I wasn't expecting that
love
one, but
Mario
alright.
Party. Mario Party to me at its peak is like it just can't be topped. Many have tried, there's been many
The
imitators over the years,
game
even Mario
or
Party itself.
I was gonna say the game or the game with friends? Like, is it one of your top because of the game with friends or just playing the game by itself?
Definitely because of the game with friends,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
But, I mean, we're gonna play, like, we've just played Avengers, and
Sure.
Avengers
Yeah,
was a ton of fun co-op, and I think maybe a little less so not co-op, especially in, like, post-game activities, you know?
right.
It was part of that enjoyment, and, Mario Party obviously much more so, but, yeah, like, to me, like and it was kind of before my time because I was playing hand-me-downs when it came out, but I really do think, like, Mario Party 2, full group,
Hmm.
like, that's peak, man, that's peak. I love that game so much.
I get
Yeah.
I have a 9-year-old, and he likes to play, the Switch is his console. He has an Xbox Series S, but he loves playing and we play Mario, what is it called? Mario's Deluxe?
Odyssey?
No, we play Odyssey, but there's the one where you do, like, the co-op where you can bring 3 of your friends along. I forget, is
Oh, Super Mario 3D World.
that's it, 3D World.
Yeah.
And he gets to the point where he gets to a point and he can't do the part, and he's like, "You do it." And he'll just follow me with when he pops himself into a little bubble, and then I'm going around, and
Mhm.
then his game now is to mess with me as I'm trying to go through the hardest parts, and then I pop him, and then he starts. It's a blast. It's a blast. But
That's so
he
sweet.
likes seeing me get frustrated because I when I was a kid, that's all I had was platformers. So like now, I try to stay away from platformers as much as possible because I back then I had a little rage, and it brings it out of me. And my son is a troll. He loves seeing me upset when we're playing this game because the angrier I get at the game, the more he laughs and enjoys it, and it's just funny. And my wife and I kind of do it. I kind of get more angry, like playfully, right? Just to make him
Mhm.
more enjoyable. It's hilarious. Like it should be a
That's
television
gaming,
show.
right?
It is, and that's why I'm bringing it up.
Like
Like the Mario Party that you
mm,
brought up, it's that experience that you have with certain people. I always say an example of like you can go to the most shittiest rundown bar, okay, but if you have a good amount of friends with you and you're having a blast, you guys remember that that's a really good moment, and that bar that you had was a fantastic time, even though it's a shitty bar.
mhm. Oh, I know that bar well.
We all have a bar like that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I've been thinking in the back of my head that whole time what my 3rd pick would be. Oh, that's a tough one. Cause like, I feel like a lot of my favorite franchises that I really root for have been kind of, like, lopsided, you know what I mean?
Lopsided in what way?
Um, like Breath of Fire, you know what I mean? I love Breath of Fire, like, 3 and 4 to me, like, those are, like, some of my favorite JRPGs. but, like, 1 and 2 are not as great, and then there's, like, Dragon Quarter and then that, like,
Mm.
weird mobile game 6 that they did, like, it's unfortunate, like, so many franchises from that era sort of fell apart at the same time, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't leave the best taste in everyone's mouth, they didn't leave on the best note.
Right, right.
Um, like Suikoden 2, one of the best games of all time, but, like, there's, like, not there's some stinkers in that series, unfortunately. Um,
There's no wrong answer or right
oh
answer
my
here.
gosh, right? Um, oh, what do I, like, really look forward to? Oh,
One of my
I
favorite
feel
games of
like
all time is Mass Effect 2. I don't know what
that's
it
a
is.
great
I
one.
don't know what it is about that game. Mass Effect 1, not so much. Mass Effect 2 to me was like the perfect game, and that came out in 2011, I think it was. And I actually rented it from was GameFly when I rented it, and I played it not knowing there was a Mass Effect 1. I just rented Mass Effect 2, and then I was like, oh, there's a 1. I was like, okay, well, then I got 1, and I hated it. I didn't like it because the controls were so much worse in 1 than 2. So I
Mhm.
forced my way through 1 and then played 2, and then respected more of 1 because of the continuation from 1 to 2. And then 2 just shined for me. That's like peak gaming for me. I just love the storytelling, the choices that you get to make, the graphics back then. It was just an amazing time.
Well, I think I thought of one. Maybe like a tie. Um, Power Stone,
Okay.
which I adore Power Stone so much, and the Capcom data breach, happened to have a silver lining,
Mhm.
which is that it sort of revealed that there was a Power Stone revival plan for 2025, and I'm praying it happens. But, like, the more time goes on without it being announced, it's starting to freak me out. Um, Power Stone and, Rival Schools.
Never
Rival Schools
Which
is
one was
like
Rival Schools? I never played that.
Rival Schools was like it was Capcom's, like, first 3D fighting franchise,
Okay.
like, before the Street Fighter EX games on, like, the PS2 era, like, mid PS1 era. Uh, it was great. It's got, like, the concept of it is that there's, like, a war of these different high schools,
Okay.
and so each high school has, like, their own, 3 representatives,
For some
and there's,
reason,
like,
I'm
a
I'm picturing like High School Musical in my head when you're saying this.
well, one of the things I like about it that's, like, similar to Xenoblade actually is so many of the creative staff behind it were, like, poached from anime,
Right.
which is super uncommon in the industry. Like, it's very weird to do that, and it you can usually get, like, a sense of like, it doesn't feel normal, you know what I mean? Like, in ways I can't explain. Like, I always say there's this one composer that did, like, music on, like, the weird, like, licensed Sailor Moon games, which are, like, all not great, but his music is insane because it's, like, the only game music he ever did, and it's just nothing like game music. It has no right being in a video game, and it's amazing.
Right.
And there's something like that in Rival Schools where it's like, this doesn't feel like a video game, and not that that's, like, a good thing, like, "Hooray, screw video games," but it's just weird and different and
I
so experimental,
I know what
you
you mean.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it got 2 entries on the PlayStation 1 in Japan, 1 never came out over here, and then a 3rd game on the Dreamcast, and, like, a lot of franchises died on the Dreamcast, you know?
Mhm. I my chat
Yeah.
makes fun of me because I don't really play a lot of JRPGs, right? Just when I was younger, I did. Just older now,
Mm.
I just don't dive into it. So everyone always like, you should play this, you should play that. I'm like, I don't have enough time in the day to play all these
They're
games that you
long.
guys, yeah. And that's the
Yeah.
reason I don't play them. That's also like a reason I don't. Every time Rockstar comes out with a game like Red Dead, like that took me over
Mm.
120 hours to put into that, right? It's a lot of time to put into those type of games. My sweet spot is like what you get for like a God of War, like even Suicide Squads. I think will be like a 15 to 20 hour campaign, right? And
Mhm.
I think that's a good size game for the price. I still think entertainment wise, bang for a buck, video games are still you know best piece of entertainment.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we talk about, like, Red Dead, like, God forbid you get into, like, Red Dead Online or, like, da 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 da, like,
Right.
as a content creator too, it's a blessing, you know, because you're not like pumping money into games every couple weeks. You just play like I'm so jealous of creators that are still making GTA 5 videos and that's like their whole bread and butter because they spent $60 like 12
Right.
years ago.
Yeah. Well, I
And
also feel bad for them though, because like just like a company that does a live service game where they're working on that one game, as a content creator,
Mm,
working on that one like nonstop playing that game, sure. You're doing it and it's fun, you're playing video games, but it's gotta get old, right? I mean,
yeah,
I'm a
maybe
var
you're right.
I'm a variety streamer. I like playing different games, and I'm a little nervous right now because I used to play a lot of Destiny. I have over 3,000 hours in Destiny 1 and 2 combined. I had 1,100 hours in Marvel's Avengers, Division 1, Division 2. I
Right.
put a lot of time into these games, and now my channel has kinda changed and whatnot, and I'm a little nervous about Suicide Squad. It's not because I think it's gonna be bad or anything. I'm nervous because I think my channel's gonna turn into a Suicide Squad channel. I think
I
that's what's
mean
gonna happen.
it really does seem so feature rich, doesn't it? Like
It does, on the
it
surface, it
at
does.
you know, like I feel like I know a lot of creators that look at it from a creator's eye and think like, "Oh shit, here we go." You know, like in a comparable way. I for me, diving into it, um, like from a data mining perspective, like it felt like home. Like there was something about it. Like I mean it I was talking about this on Deeper Depths podcast the other day, where it's like it even I feel like goes beyond just like trend chasing and into like intentional like references. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like where it's sort of pulling at specific strings and I don't know. It's nice to have
It's
what
it's
feels like
it's
a
like putting a
reverence for a game that was important to me.
yeah, it's like putting a comfy pair of shoes on again, right? Like,
You know? Mhm. And
so
also it's like pair of shoes that people hate that you know?
right, but you're it's like Crocs, right? The Crocs, that's it's exactly what it
It's
is, right?
true.
It's Crocs.
Yep.
They
Yep.
look ugly, but
It's
god
you're
damn it,
correct.
they're so comfortable.
You know? I miss it. Well, I mean, I don't know, there's a timeline out there where that was, like, the biggest game of all time, you know? And I feel like I'd just love to peek into that just for a second.
Well, I have a question because you brought up the data mining. What got you?
Mhm.
Did you data mine before Marvel's Avengers? Did you dabble in it? Did you is that what opened up the gate for you? Like, was there a gateway drug that you did? Was there another game that you dove into, and then when this game came out because you're a Marvel fan, you really like dove into that?
Well, when I was a kid, I was really into, like, it's funny too, somebody told me it was, like, Mugen, like, is technically how it's pronounced, but it you know, like Mugen, like the fighting game engine, like the
Okay.
fan engine thing?
Yep.
I was really into that and, like, RPG Maker and stuff, like, that was my thing when I was, like, a kid, I was like, "Oh, I wanna, like, make games." And so part of that to me was, like, naturally because um I get, like I mean, you know, I'm not a doctor, but I get, like, very hyper focused on franchises and IPs, like,
Okay.
I've always been that guy, like, I like license you know what I mean? My Christmas list was never like a pony, like, it was always, like, this specific toy from this TV show that I'm watching, you know
Okay.
what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like, I've always been a franchise guy. So, the idea of, like, making a video game to me was always like, "Oh, I wanna make, like, a licensed game," you know? So in doing so, it's like, well, I need sprite sheets from this game. I need the music from this game,
Right. So
and that was
you started
rarely
digging
ever
in.
available.
So you dug
Yeah.
in because you wanted more information. You wanted more of it.
Yeah.
you were craving it. So this is why you did what you did.
Yep. And that was
Interesting.
really, I guess, what started it was like I just wanted it and I knew it was possible to get it. And so I got it, you know?
All right. So as a person that's doing the data mining for Marvel's Avengers, right? It's closed down or whatnot. What made you, right? Because as you're saying that you're a fan of IPs, stuff like that, and you really want to know the information. How did it how am I wording this? How did you decipher and decide what would be good to share and not share to ruin it or not ruin it for
Mhm.
other people? You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
you could have just opened up wide open and just everything. But you didn't, right? You kept like teasing people and going, "Oh, this is going to be it," because you were. And again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like you were a fan, and so you were excited and you wanted to share the excitement with other people.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a fine line, and I've made mistakes before, you know, like, I'm not perfect, I'm learning as I go.
Mhm.
I can think of, like, key moments, like, I had the whole War for Wakanda narrative before that came out, and I was, like, comfortable saying, "Yes, like, Crossbones is the second villain, like, you know, this is kind of, like, how it's structured, but when it comes to, like, brass tacks, like, these are the story beats."
Mhm.
Like, that's like, I can't there's nothing I can say that can replicate playing it for you, like, I can't ruin your moment to moment gameplay,
Right.
but, like, those cutscenes are half of the fun. Those cutscenes are, like, part of the investment and, you know, we're all invested in the narrative. So to say that, you know, that would really sort of dampen, I think, the fun for a lot of people.
Right.
I think the closest I ever got was saying, like, "Oh, the end of War for Wakanda has, like, a non-playable character. There's, like, a major revelation in them, and they, like, change titles." I think is what I said, and that was, like, Shuri's, coronation. Um, but now I think with Suicide Squad, it's tough, like, my resolve and what I thought I had locked in, um let me go back a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
My sample size here with data mining is like 1. You know what I mean? Like I could say I'm learning as I go, but like I've basically still just started. I've only really ever done this once. So like going into Suicide Squad, I can be very headstrong about it and be like, I feel like this and this should be this way and da 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 da
Right.
da. It really hasn't been tested. You know what I mean? Like I'm just taking my experience with one game and moving it to the next and hoping it all works.
It just works. Well,
And
that's how businesses
it
work.
doesn't always.
They try to do the exact same thing with businesses. They see what they don't know what they're doing. Most companies that I've ever worked for don't know what they're doing. They just kind of fly by, and then when it works, then they just adapt.
That's pretty much what I've had to do. Like, I I know the reason that I started sharing it, and it was because there was a lot of misinformation, and I wanted to correct the record because it was annoying to have conversations about the game in like Discord or whatever with like random people, and they were so misinformed and like intentionally lied to in many cases. And
Right.
it was like, I need to correct the record because it's just frustrating to exist in this space and listen to this nonsense.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
totally. Well, there's still people right now, content creators, that are not that they didn't play Marvel's Avengers, they didn't play Division or Division Two or Destiny, and yet they're covering looter shooters, they're covering this type of game, but yet know nothing about this type of game, but they're doing it just for clicks, just for whatever, and they're giving wrong information out there, and a lot of people don't want to play Suicide Squads because they think it's one game when it's another.
And that's what tested me was like, you know, that big text dump story leak that was out that was like half supposition and, you know, was like even just written in such a way that you could easily parse that it was like half guessed.
Mm.
But anyways, like once that was out, like my intention was not to talk about story until like a week after the game came out. You know what I mean?
Right.
And once that was out there and it really started to take hold and blow up on like it went viral. And it's like, man,
Can't stand
I
back.
can't not talk like it was testing my sense of like don't talk story stuff, don't ruin the narrative for people. And like that was in direct opposition to my sense of like correct the record. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
make and then one of the things that about Avengers as it went that I also sort of found myself doing was like how do I explain this? Oh, maybe I might bite off more than I can chew if I can say that. Either way, yeah, it was those 2 ideologies were conflicting. I couldn't do both, you know what
Right.
I mean? I had to pick one, and once the poison ivy thing took off with the whole, like, "They're all pedophiles and da da da,"
Yeah.
like, it was like, "Okay, it's time, like, we gotta fix this." So, I did my best to put out that fire, but it meant spoiling the story for a lot of people.
Right, and what Miller is talking about, if you guys don't know, he has an article that he wrote. You can go to his Twitter account, which is in the description down below. And if you're interested, you can click and read the article that he wrote. It's one of your pinned tweets, correct? It's at the top.
Yeah, it's the pinned tweet.
Yeah, and you can read it. And warning, if you don't want to be spoiled in any way, shape, or form, he does go into story territory to set the record straight from the people that were lying about the actual game. So if you're interested in that, you can go check out that link on his Twitter page. Um,
It goes so far beyond even just, like, the base campaign too, like, it's like, "This is how season 5 might end," and it's like, that's, like, a year and a quarter away, like,
right,
what are you know what I mean? But that was what we were talking about, and it's just I don't know, so much of the conversation was in bad faith, and even though I think it didn't reach as far as it could have, it's been nice to be able to participate in the community, and most of that conversation has gone away. Not completely,
right.
you know,
Well,
but
what
I'm
what
only human.
what's your viewpoint of why? Uh, I understand like YouTube negativity sells more than positivity, right? It just gets
Oh,
more clicks
yeah.
and stuff like that. But why do you think that so many people want this game to fail? Like the narrative of Suicide Squad, right? And everyone just kind of forgets that there is an actual story. Rocksteady, and on my channel, I always talk about this, right? Until someone shows me that they're not the person they are, I'm going to trust that's the person I'm getting still, right? So Rocksteady, they made awesome Batman Arkham game. The story in those series were fantastic, right? So why, because of Cyberpunk 2077 or Battlefield 2042 or from any other company that came out with a broke, buggy, unfinished game, or a Destiny or Division where it's a live service game, why is everyone so hell bent on the, well, it's a live service game, they're going to nickel and dime you for everything, instead of just listening to what the narrative is and saying that nothing is bought. They're not charging anything besides the season pass, and it's all cosmetic and all the content's free. Why do you think that is, that they want this game to just fail so hard?
Well, I've got a hot take on this. I
Okay.
think everyone wants every game to fail. I think truly, I think post-COVID, just discourse in general is gone. Like, it's dead, it's over. We've said everything there is to say,
There's no
and
saving
now
it.
we're just in this, like we're, like, digesting our own tail at this point, you know what I
Okay.
mean? So you're
Yep.
just getting, like, crap of crap. Like, there's nothing it's just
It's
all bad faith
like Saw
arguments that we've
Centipede,
already
the
made
human
100
centipede.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really, truly, like, it's just it there's nothing much to it. We have this conversation about every game now. Not the exact same one,
No,
but
no.
whatever we can come up with.
Yeah. Well,
And don't get me wrong, like, there are conversations to be had about certain games, and I'm not even saying there's not a conversation to be had about this game. You know, I'm genuinely compelled when I look at the value proposition of a AAA game from 10, 15 years ago versus today, and the idea of, like, post-launch and kicking that can down the road. Don't get me wrong, I am moved by that. I think there's a conversation to be had, but, like, that's not the conversation that we're having, you know what
right.
I mean?
Right.
We're talking about how Joker's being brought back to life, like, it's not serious.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's I find it kind of funny now in a sick way because people are furious. Like,
Because it's not Mark
they
Hamill, or and if it was the Joker with Mark Hamill playing, people would be pissed that they brought him back, because
Oh,
it's
definitely.
a lose-lose situation no matter what.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
No, they really I really don't think there's a Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League out there that they made that people would have had a good reception to. I just don't think that happens anymore. Like, truly, I don't think there is a game out there that doesn't have stupid discourse and backlash. And I was just having this conversation earlier with a Suicide Squad developer who was sort of stressed out about this. And what I said was, the sick thing is when we don't have that is when we're in trouble. Because right
Right.
now, you've got a mountain of conversation about this game. You've got more advertisement than money could pay for. Like, this
Right.
game is on
Free advertisement. Yeah.
everybody's lips.
Yeah. You got
You know
free
what I mean? Like,
advertisement because of all the people hating on it. Yeah.
yeah, like what you can do is make the game the best that it can be. And with all of these eyes on it, you're gonna sway people. You know what I mean? Like, if you didn't have this many eyes on you, yes, you'd have an easier day. You know, you'd probably want to throw yourself down a well a little less. And that's great and that's valid, amazing. But like in again, the sickest way possible, I'm not saying this is a good thing, but like then the game would really be in trouble because nobody would give a shit. And
Right.
right now, everyone gives a shit. They give 100 shit. They're too much.
I like the way that people set it up though. The people that are haters, right? I've seen it happen now over the last 2 weeks since over the last month from the Dev 2 now to Dev 3 Insider, where everyone was shitting on it hard as they could, and now they kind of hedged their bets. They're like, well, it could be good, and we'll see what happens after the, because they showed the roadmap and stuff like that. And I just think it's funny because they're trying to shit on it, and then they're trying to justify it, and then kind of back up a little bit because they're like, no, I didn't think it was going to be that bad. It could be good. Before it was, this is trash, microtransactions, loot boxes. They're going to charge for everything, right? And now it's, well, it actually looks pretty good. The game looks pretty good. I just think it's funny. I look. There's a person on my channel, Big Mo, always says, chew your own food, right? Chew your own food. Like, you can go to YouTube and go to articles and read articles about video games and whatnot. But at the end of the day, right, when you order your food, you ever go to a restaurant with somebody and you ordered a hamburger and they're like, oh, I was going to order that. You still can, right? You're not eating my food, right? Like, you can go order your own burger and see if you like it. And now it seems like people are like, they're ordering the burger. They didn't like the burger, and now they're trying to convince you not to eat the burger because they didn't like the burger. And it's like, just
Oh yeah.
chew your own food, man. Like, just play the games you like. Don't play the games you don't like. And people spend more time hating on a game than they actually play a game that they love. And it boggles my mind. It boggles my mind.
I think the thing that gets me is like how much of it how do I explain this? Like there I remember during Avengers that contingency of people that would make their personality around like I don't like this game.
Hmm.
And it's like watching that community now, like I used to be like not like afraid of them, but like alarmed, like what? Like what's wrong with you? But now it's just like, girl, is this what you do for fun? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah, yeah. That's their
I
game.
don't
The
have
game is to
time for
shit on
this.
other games. That's what their game is.
But the thing like what blows my mind about it is like what movies do you watch? Like, what music do you listen to? What films like, what
Exactly.
television do you watch? What media do you like that is universally beloved? Like, what is it about video games where if it's not the greatest game ever made, it's
It's
trash?
trash. Yeah, we
Like
we have a joke on my channel that if it's below a 90, it's trash. Right? If it
yeah,
gets
like,
lower than a
really.
90, it's trash.
And these bitches don't even play the 90 plus games. Like, let's be
Exactly.
honest. Like literally, I had somebody in my mentions the other day that was like, "Oh, they're already gonna reskin boss fights." First of all, we don't know what that is. Second of all, I went on his profile, plays Monster Hunter.
But
That game is half reskin boss fights. Are you serious? Like,
and
it's
repetitive because you just keep fighting the same boss over and over. But this they'll say in front of your face, they'll be like, "Yeah, what are you gonna do? You're gonna play Superman? You're gonna fight Superman again and again? It's so boring." It's like, what are you
you
talking
know what
about?
it's like but like literally, it's like my favorite movies of all time. I love them. I could watch them 100 times each. In some cases, I've come close. They have, like, 70s
Mm.
on, like, Rotten Tomatoes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
these are not universally beloved movies. These are movies that a lot of people hate. Like, "Oh, well," like, that's just a thing in every other media. Like, it's just a thing, it's normal, it's fine, you
right.
like what you like. What is it about games where that's not acceptable?
I think
Like
it's because a movie costs, well, now it costs a little bit more, but I think because a movie costs $10 or $20, where a video game costs 60, now $70, and some are upward to 100, 120, all depending on where you are in the world. And I think a lot of people, I think, which they have the right. I mean, Henry Cavill said it the best, right? Toxicity. He doesn't believe it's toxicity. He believes it's passion, right? And I think there's like a morphing that's happening now where people are toxic, but they're also not the people that are fans. Like, they're fans that are hurt. I don't know what it is. Like, if you like DC, then you'll interested in DC, and if you like Rocksteady, you're like, oh, I'll give Rocksteady a chance. But Rocksteady, it's like, show me on the doll where Rocksteady hurt you from between Arkham and now Suicide Squad. They didn't do anything besides make another Batman Arkham VR game. That was the last thing they did. And I don't know why people are so against what they're doing because they feel like they're owed a Batman, a next Batman game. And it's like, if they came out with the next Batman game, you would shit on it because they'd be like, oh, this is not as good as the last Batman, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, they would.
well, the discourse right now with, like, the post-launch stuff is like, "Oh, it's too Batman-centric." Where's the rest of the justice? And it's
Oh
like
my God's sakes.
there's no winning. There's no winning. And here's the thing, like, there's no better proof of that than the choice of the Joker. Because some people are like, "This is ridiculous. This is the stupid thing ever. Like, the game's gonna sell terribly." And it's like, this is the most iconic DC villain of all time.
Yeah.
Like, this is a character that headlined a billion-dollar R-rated movie.
Yep.
Like, this is an extra there's no more popular DC character that they could have possibly chosen for the first pick. And it's like, if you think that's a bad sign about the game's popularity, like, people are turned off by this, like, you're just talking out of your ass.
Yeah. For them to come out and I didn't think they were going to show the Joker. I thought they were just going to tease him again. Like at the end of the Dev 3, they would have shown like, oh, and at the end, just like they showed the little picture at the Q&A.
Mm.
I thought they were just going to show a picture of him and be like, oh, that'd be amazing when that comes in. But they literally laid it out. They said he's coming in, and he comes in within obviously like a month and a half time. It all depends on when he comes in March, right? But that's pretty ballsy. I mean, considering that's a iconic character. Yes, it's not the iconic character that we know from the Arkham series, but it's still Joker. And to put him first, I think that says a lot that they want to awe you, and then what's coming next, right? I think that's a good sign
Mhm.
from the company to know, hey, yeah, we we believe in this game, and we want you to believe in our game. And how else are we going to show this to you? So they're showing you everything that they could possibly can without ruining anything for you.
Yeah, I was pretty pleased. I mean, I wish like, it was definitely a show of confidence.
I think
I
so.
am I'm never pleased, evidently, so I wish they'd gone just a hair further, but there was stuff there that I didn't expect to see, like the setting of season 4. That I didn't even know. Like, I was very
Can
surprised.
you explain that to me? Because when I looked at the picture, okay, and I'm not a huge DC fan, right? It looks like an
Mhm.
old medieval, like old European
Yeah,
town.
Renaissance era.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And is that Superman? Is that Hawkman? I mean, he's got a bird on his arm. Who is that? It looked like there was an S on his chest, but obviously it's too blurred out to see.
Well, it looks like that one and the Frozen one are concept art, and then the Gotham one in the middle is, like, a screenshot, which I thought was, like, a weird combo,
Okay.
especially too because they've, like, shown off the Frozen one, like, you could take a screenshot, I don't know. But the 4th one, it looks like it's at least a pastiche on, The Dark Knights of Steel, which was, like, apparently a storyline. If you think like,
So you're talking
uh
Steel, what you're saying. That's who it is.
well, for a character?
Yeah, that statue.
No,
No?
I mean, it's oh, I don't actually know. I think it's probably Superman because there's
Okay.
very similar statues in Metropolis, and if it's concept art, they, like, go for the jugular, like,
Right, right,
"Here's the
right.
money shot," so, it's probably Superman, but that universe is Superman, which would be vastly different on account of the Renaissance era.
Right.
Um, but I've heard it's like a Dark Knights of Steel pastiche,
Okay.
which was like a comic run sort of comparable to, like, the what was it? Like, this, what is it? Like, 80,000 or 90,000 BC Avengers?
Hmm.
I forget the exact how long ago, you know what I mean? That Avengers run with, like, Odin and, and Vin and, like, the original Phoenix and, that whole crew.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, kinda thing. Looks cool. I mean, I certainly wasn't expecting that, though, because if you look at season 1 with Joker, and it's all very, circusy and clownish,
Yeah.
and then season 2, it's, a frozen wasteland. Season 3, you've got Gotham for a character from Gotham. Like, it's like, wait, I don't see the connection between that character and that setting, but I'm so curious how they pull it off.
Well, I have a question, but I don't know if I say the question that if because you might know something, I don't want you to spoil anything for anybody. So how am I going to the areas that they showed, right? Like the Joker
Mm,
and whatnot. And if you know, just say I can't say, right? So do you think
okay.
that the Joker is going to be a boss in my opinion, I think that he's going to be the boss at the end of that level. And then you beat him, and then you recruit him, and then that's when you can
Oh.
be him. That's what I think is gonna happen.
Well, I know.
So you do know.
Uh, I believe I do.
Okay. Is it
I mean,
well, I guess well, you can't answer that because if you answer it and say that I'm correct, then that would ruin it, right?
I love the theory crafting, though. I love it. Like, I have a very Look, I mean, on account of, like, learning things before they're announced, I have a I'm often even learning things out of order, you know what I mean? Like, it's very rigid, like, there's not a lot of flexibility there, and so I love hearing people's theories, like, based on what's been revealed,
Yeah, well,
because it's like,
right, I'm
"God,
not I'm
wouldn't
not a
you
data
gotta been in
miner,
it
right? I'm not a
before?"
data miner,
Yeah.
right? I'm just guessing,
No, I love it, I love it. Um, I I mean, the further out you go,
right?
there's a lot is still subject to change.
Okay.
Like, in fact, in the alpha build, there's gear score. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's a there's a lot, by the way, finished for seasons like 1, 2, and 3 about gear score because it looks like there were originally gonna be a gear score cap that increases in the seasons, and there'd be, like, a checkpoint at a certain point in the narrative where you have to reach, like, a certain gear score to continue. And there's, like, audio to that effect where it's, like, spun in the narrative, like, all that got thrown out the window, you know what I mean? Stuff changes, it's active development.
Do you think they got rid of the gear score the 10 months that they had that they delayed, right? Maybe because within the files, but do you think they delayed because I've always talked about on my channel, I wish a person that did a live service game would let's say it takes 3 to 5 years to make a game, right? A lot of games, what they do now is they release it at 3 and then they fix it for the next 2, and by the end of that 2 years, is at the 5-year mark, and then it's a finished game, right? That's the way
Yeah.
I feel like they do it, right? So, instead, I feel like these guys were done, and then they waited the 10 months to work on the other content that they showed in the roadmap, doing something different than what Marvel's did. Because Marvel's, when it came out, it was broke, buggy, right? It came out. I had to wait
Yeah.
14 days for a patch just so I could beat the last boss. And again,
Oh, was it the Hulk thing with
I couldn't even
when
open the door to get to Modoc. Like I couldn't.
was that was the Hulk jump, right? Where, like, he jumped and he was supposed to break down the door for you, but he never did it, he just sat there for
Yeah,
some
just
players?
outside. It would just be outside the door. I couldn't do anything, right? And I had to wait
Yeah,
14
yeah,
days for the patch, and then they constantly just were chasing their own tails after that, right? And they were getting
yep,
slower and slower. And I compared it to working on a movie set, right? A movie set is we have a certain amount of pages that we have to shoot every day. And if you miss a page or miss some time, you have to push those over to the next day. And then if you push those
mhm,
over to the next day, then those the next day would get pushed back and so on and so forth. And then you have to start cutting content. You have to start cutting pages to catch up to your time frame. Otherwise, you're going to be over budget and whatnot. So sometimes movies get messed up. Actually, a lot of times movies get messed up like that. So I was thinking the same along the concept of that's what was happening to Marvel's Avengers, where Marvel's Avengers was fixing things, and because they were fixing things, then they had to start postponing things, and because they were postponing things, then they were at well, this is not going to happen, so they just cut things, right? And now with Suicide Squad, do you feel that the 10 months was the delay to make this content rock solid for that first year, or do you think it was to revamp the main game with the gear score and whatnot?
why not both?
Think
I
it's both?
mean,
Or do you know it's
they've
both?
got teams working on different types of content consistently. Um, I don't I can't think of a reason why it couldn't be both.
Okay.
That I mean, a lot of games I think would make drastic moves like that if they had another 10 months, you know what I mean? And that oftentimes would be the difference. And I'm glad they took that time. I think one of the biggest issues with Avengers was like, yeah, A, it wasn't done. But
Yeah,
B, like,
yeah.
they were behind schedule on post-launch stuff when the game came out. Like, there was no way they were gonna make their timeline. It was just not possible. And they're ahead of schedule right now because of those delays, you know what
That's
I
great.
mean?
Yeah.
So, good for them. I mean, if you could learn any lesson from Avengers, that's a great one.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
don't whatever they did
hooray.
whatever they did, don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I you often read, um, stories from people that played Avengers and kind of, did it casually, they weren't
Mhm.
active in the community. And I always love those takes, because they're really illuminating on like how the average person interacted with Avengers. And the take I read often is the thing that killed it was like how slow the damn updates were. Like
Yeah.
there was just a dearth of content in between them. There was nothing in between at all. And we wouldn't even know the next one when one came out. And then you're waiting 5 months, you know what I mean? Like to not have that alone. Like, I mean, Avengers got pretty close. Like it sold 3 million copies in its first month, which is not great, but it's not bad. Like it did pretty well in its first holiday season
Right.
and it continued to sell. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing about live service games is they're attracting people in a year two situation that the average one and done game is not. And I think to just eliminate that problem goes a long way.
Right. So with the characters like in Marvel's Avengers, right? There was a lot of talk about, and obviously the game hasn't even come out yet. Suicide Squad hasn't even come out yet, but we know there's other characters coming in. Do we? Or do you have? I shouldn't say do we. Do you have? Do you fear that they're going to be copycat characters, or what you've
No.
been seeing? You're rock solid on these are good characters. These are good standalone characters.
Yeah, I mean, you've got like um I mean, I've tweeted about it openly, so I don't think
Mhm.
it's like too
Yeah.
much of a spoiler.
Well, hold on real
But
fast.
you
Chat, if we talk about stuff and he does say stuff, he might leak something that you might not like. So I'm gonna say this openly right now. If you don't want to be spoiled, if he happens to talk about something, you might want to watch this after the fact. It's on YouTube. You can watch the VOD later. It won't hurt my feelings. But I want to make sure that if we do talk about spoiler stuff, that you know ahead of time. So there you go. All right, go ahead, Miller.
yeah, no, 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 no. You've got characters that on paper, I think people might assume would be an easy pick for a clone. Like I think when I was saying Joker before Joker was revealed, there were a lot of people that were thinking, well, here we go. It's Kate Bishop and Clint Barton, you know what I mean? Like they're going to play just the same and they're nothing alike
Right,
from looking at them, nothing alike. Other than, the gunplay, which is every character. And in that sense, I think that's how this game is planned a lot smarter than Avengers was because there's an expedience to it.
mm.
There's there's a lightness to it in all of its content where it's like
I like how you're trying to
I
dance
mean
around it.
I mean Avengers like shot for the stars with like their asset fidelity. Um I if they went for a 12, Suicide Squad went for a 10. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like they're certainly high quality assets. They look fantastic. Like, this is a game of 2024 from the looks of it, absolutely. But there's just like, I mean, every AAA game cuts corners.
Sure.
Like with Avengers, if you like even at launch with Avengers, if you looked into any crowd of civilians, there were like 3 heads in the whole group that were just copy and pasted in all of them.
What? You mean it's not like Starfield where you walked up to the guy in the background, their eyes were popping out and stuff like that? No, say it ain't so.
Close, close. But you know what I mean? Like every AAA game cuts a corner somewhere. It's the it's which corners you cut. I think that
Of course.
separate the winners from the losers. You know what I mean? Because you have to be very, very smart about it. And that's one thing I really have to give Rocksteady with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is the planning is very, very smart. Like with Avengers, let's say their post-launch plan, right?
Hmm.
That was essentially like 2 years worth, let's say. 2 years worth of content. Here's our like internal roadmap or whatever. And then there's our exit point. If we need one, if the game bombs, that could be our ending, or we could
Right.
continue after that. That point with Suicide Squad is sooner, is like half of that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And which is to me really smart because you don't know how bad things are going to go. You know what I mean? Like you don't know.
Right.
What if the game sells 1 million copies?
So
Fire, disaster. Oh my God, you know?
so you're saying like Marvel's was like a 5-year plan, and again, I don't know. I'm just saying like a 5-year plan, and Suicide Squad's like a 2.5-year plan, and then
Well,
see it how it goes.
Suicide Squad definitely has long-term, like, written on a napkin plans.
Sure, but
Absolutely.
they want to see take a
But yeah,
temperature
in
take a
terms
temperature
of
8 months, 10 months in to see what the barometer is, and then continue on from there.
in terms of, narrative, absolutely. Where, like, they've got a clear storyline structure going into post-launch, which is gonna be blatantly obvious when you finish the campaign,
Mhm.
and that takes us to, like, a year and a quarter away, and
Okay.
if they need a clean break because it bombed, there it is. And it's yeah, I just think that's smart. Like, there's no to come up with a longer plan than that, like Avengers did, you don't know if you're gonna get there, and evidently, sometimes you don't.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just smarter to have a couple more exits along the path just in case. You know? It's little things like that, I think, where Suicide Squad can absolutely succeed where Avengers failed, even if one of those things is treating the players that stuck around right in the event of a failure.
Right. And again, I think at least in my eyes, maybe it's because I'm 45 and I've played a ton of games like this. Like, I don't find it as a if you play the campaign, you buy this game for $70, play it day one, right? You're not pre-ordering. You get it day one. You play the game. You go through the story. That, like I said earlier in the podcast, I think is worth if you're a fan, right? If you're a DC fan, you're doing a story. Rocksteady does awesome storytelling with the Arkham series, and I can't imagine they're going to do anything less than what they did. Even with the big guys that left the studio and went off and started their own studio, I still think the core of what Rocksteady is of the storytelling they did, I think it'll be worth the story alone. Now, let's say it does bomb, right? It bombs. It comes out, and when I say bomb, obviously it just doesn't sell their maybe it's supposed to sell 7 million copies. It only sells 3 or 4. Okay, that's a failure.
Mhm.
But the people that are playing it still enjoy it. I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, if the game's good, it's good. And I think a lot of people are judging it because it's the live service aspect, and they're judging it what it's going to be like 5 years from now instead of judging what the game is in front of them.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're
Absolutely.
the people are judging it because the loot boxes that people keep saying, and they said there's no loot boxes. It's just cosmetic, and it's the battle pass. And if you get the deluxe edition, you get one of those tokens to get the first battle pass. And I believe you can use it anytime down the line. You don't have to use it for
Yeah,
that
you can
first
hold on
season.
to
Yeah,
it.
yeah, you can. So I believe that the way, at least the way it feels from an outsider, not looking into the files or anything like that, I feel like Suicide Squad and Rocksteady has their shit together. I think they have their shit together, and they've learned a lesson from Destiny, from Division, from Anthem, from Marvel, you know, to not make the same mistakes, at least at the start. Maybe they'll make some mistakes along the way, but they're not going to make the same mistakes that the other games made at the start.
Mhm. One of the things that's impressed me lately is their whole, like, no FOMO approach.
Hmm.
Like, we know with the seasonal like, one of the big questions, when they started talking in the Q&A about, like, Nexus maps, right? What people were thinking, like, if I'm doing this to get exclusive things, like, or even just going there, do they go away when the season's over?
Right? They
Like, how is this gonna work? And evidently, no, you can always go back, like, you can always play through it in, day 300 like it was day 1, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
everybody and catch up, and that applies to everything. Like, that's really cool. Like, I don't know a lot of games that do that, you know what I mean? Like, but it's not even just that, but that approach to everything, like, I can think of a lot of ways that that mentality, um, would personally benefit me, especially, like, um, as a content creator, you know what I mean? Like, to
Hmm.
be able to like, when you jump into like, this always gets me. If I'm jumping into, like, a new mobile game or something, let's say, right? Or, like, some service-based game, one of the things that always kills me is, like, I can't catch up, you know what I mean? Like, there's such a like, there's so many systems, I'm diving into to the deep end, I cannot catch up to people who've been doing this for so long, it's like a full-time job to learn everything that's changed since the beginning.
Right.
To be able to go back to the beginning and actually play from that ground zero point and, like, evolve it with the seasons and just go, 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 and earn those early reward, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
whatever's still relevant in the meta from season 2, you can go back and do, like, it's hard as a content creator to handle a game like that long term if you can't bring in new players, you know what I mean? Like, if
Right.
there's limitations on that, to be able to actively sell this to new players, especially for a game too that a lot of people are hesitant about, that are like, "I'll wait and see for reviews, I'll wait for a sale." Like, those people are good to go. You know what I mean? Like, hooray, I'm happy those people are gonna get the full experience. They'll just, I feel like, be that much more inclined to come in. That makes me, as a content creator, more serious about investing in Suicide Squad long term.
Do you
You know
think
what I mean?
yeah, do you think they do the gear score like not the gear score, like, for instance, we got the Bane
Totally.
set, the Bane gear set that's in the 1st season,
Mm.
or I guess season 0, right? Not the 1st season, but the main campaign, right? That's where the Bane, gear set is, and then when the
Well,
joke
it's like there is an episode post game.
right.
So,
Oh,
like,
I see what you're saying.
when
So
you
there's,
finish
like there's
the
the start, then there's an episode, and then there's the 1st season. You're saying there's an episode in
yeah, yeah,
between?
yeah.
Okay.
But presumably that will be there at launch, which is cool.
Right. So okay. So do you think the way it's going to work is that the Bane gear set is in the 1st episode in this 1st beginning sequence, okay? And then that's where you'll grind. So in my stream, I always talk about the upside down triangle. Most of these looter
Mhm.
shooters always fail because they make a triangle and not an upside down triangle where you start the game and then it starts to get bigger as you go. They make a triangle where you start the game, there's plenty to do, but yet you end up doing the same thing at the end. Like for instance,
Mm.
Diablo, when it came out, Diablo 4, you were only doing Nightmare Dungeons, right? That was it. That was the end game. It was one thing, and you just kept running Nightmare Dungeons. And Destiny's did this, and Division did this. So I think Suicide Squad, and again, I don't know. I haven't played. I'm just looking at what they've showed us. Do you think that they're doing it where the gear set comes out? That's like the end, one of the main things to go for in this. And then
Mhm.
there's different game modes to do. And then all of a sudden, Joker comes in season 1. And now, obviously, the meta would be now everyone's going for that new gear set. Let's just say it's a Joker gear set or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. I'm just making it up, chat.
It's Scarecrow and Two-Face.
Okay, so Two Face has got gear set out there, and now you're going for the gear set. Now, if you're a person that comes in during season 1, then now you can go for Bane gear set. You can go for Two Face's gear set. You can go for Scarecrow's gear set. So it opens up more. It's not just that you're doing the one job and only that one job over and over and like grinding it out. Is that the way it's set up?
Yes, it absolutely is set up in the sense that you can go back and get that stuff, and everything that you could have gotten before you started playing is still there for you to go get. And what's great about that too is it's not like, I think if you were to look at something like a Destiny or whatever, right?
Mhm.
There's that power creep, like the earlier stuff sort of loses relevance in the meta because you want
Fucking
to
power creep. I hate
innovate a
power
little bit,
creep. Yeah.
right? No, but Suicide Squad came up with the coolest fucking idea. And I wasn't sure that they revealed this in the stream because honestly, I still haven't watched it. I'm the worst.
You haven't watched the
But
stream?
then I know, I know.
You know why? It's because you
But
already
like,
know all the data anyway. You're like, they're not gonna tell me anything new.
well, I had like PTSD over it because I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be so bad. But and I like heard, I tell you, I watched some of it though today. I did watch some of it because I was talking to some friends about villain synergy, the villain
Hmm.
synergy system, and I was like, did they reveal that yet? And there's a whole thing. But the villain synergy idea is so cool because it keeps older stuff relevant because they introduce new synergies.
Right.
So like the concept is there's like the two highest gear rarities, they're villain themed. And so
It's
you have like set
notorious, right?
bonuses.
Notorious and
Notorious and Infamous. And to be
infamous.
honest with you, I'm still sketchy on what the fuck Infamous is because I get the concept of Notorious. Infamous is a weird one because it's internally referred to as gear set.
Okay.
And I was really confused in my first tweet about it because I'm like, that'd be a really stupid name for a rarity. And it turns out that is correct.
Oh,
But
okay.
anyways, so it's, I don't know if yet. This is the thing that probably the stream is going to make very obvious for me, and I'm going to look silly because I haven't watched it yet. I don't know if Notorious gear gives you set bonuses or if
It
that's like relegated specifically to Infamous.
no no no. It the gear sets have specific perks for the notorious.
Notorious as well as Infamous, right? Because I thought that's what the difference was, that the
I
Infamous ones are the ones with the gear set bonuses.
I thought it was notorious the one with the gear. See, I might be mistaken. Chat,
See? See?
chime in here, chat. Is it notorious with the set gear? Where's what's his
No, but
name?
I mean, is it both? Like,
I
regardless,
it might be both. It might be a different, completely
because they're
different.
both villain themed.
Right.
I don't know, but regardless, it's taking
Lejeune says
gear
infamous.
with Okay, well, that's what I was thinking, but, like, I wasn't sure. Anyways, it's taking gear with different set bonuses, like, from different villains, and combining them and finding new perks that sort of synergize those 2 specialties. And there's, like, unique perks that are being added for that mechanic. So it's like, "Oh, I went back at, like, season 0, I got this Bane gear, and then in, like, season 4, I got this Raj Al Ghul thing."
Right.
And, like, "Oh, they combine in this new way." So it, like, keeps season 0 stuff relevant,
Relevant.
consistent, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's ingenious. It's that kind of, again, planning that I think is really their secret sauce.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of people don't see that. When you look at all the things that they're putting in the game and the way you can mix and match your builds, it's gonna be. I'm excited to see what Lejeune can build, because the Hulk
We
builds and
keep joking
stuff.
around that he's gonna come up with, like, one-shot
Yeah,
videos already.
yeah, he's gonna be like, I've put this together and it scores 15 million. With this headshot, if you do this right, because that's how he was in Marvel's Avengers. Um, I'm excited for. I want to know. This is what I want to know, and I don't know if you know by reading in the data or whatnot. When we fight Flash or we fight Superman or Batman, obviously in the story,
Mhm.
once you beat them, the story is over. But when you're grinding for gear, is it going to be like Borderlands esque, where I keep fighting Superman and Superman has a percentage of dropping some sort of special mod or gear or something to keep me coming back, or is it like a one and done? Like
I'm
once I beat Superman, I can't go back and beat Superman until I'm done with the whole thing.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I do know that you can replay those boss fights.
Okay.
Um, whether that's for specific gear drops or what, I'm not sure. I don't have access to drop tables yet.
Okay.
There's certain things that I'm sketchy on. But I have seen what would imply that either those boss fights stay on your map in post game and you can like redo them manually if you go to that area,
Right. Sort of
or
like Black
there's like
Tusk or
a
whatever in Division, where you can keep going back and farm your
yeah,
ways.
or maybe there's like it's like its own objective type and you have to sort of respawn them in some way because narratively it wouldn't make sense and they're very like
Correct.
heavy on the narrative like pushing that kind of thing.
Right.
Like all of those objectives sort of have this big narrative thrust to them, and I can't imagine that's immune to it. And there is like a narrative thing that I think sort of could justify that. It remains to be seen though. I can't say one way or another.
Well, on the roadmap they showed in the first season, or yeah, season one with the Joker, they showed like a alternate Superman and alternate Green Lantern. So I would assume that they
See,
would have. Go ahead.
I'm curious about those because like I as far oh boy, that's big spoilers. As far as I thought I knew what the boss fights were for episodes 1 and 2, right?
Okay.
Presumably one of those will be in episode 1 and one will be in episode 2. I thought I knew. Is there more than one? Is that the one that I thought, but they just look like that for some reason? Like, I have so many questions. So many
Interesting.
questions.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what that's about because I think that opens up the door to a couple things. Because if you look at it, like, you know, we only got 4 of those members, like
Right.
in boss fights. You know what I mean? Well, presumably. Oops, I shouldn't have said that. But anyways, we cat's out of the bag. We got 4 of those members for boss fights, right?
Right.
So it's like if we're doing 2 a season 2, we're done. You know, like
Right.
I I think there's more to that than what meets the eye, and I don't usually say that.
That's a different game. That's Transformers more than meets the eyes. Um, the the amount of yeah. See, I one of my main things about Marvel's Avengers or any kind of superhero game, right? I want them to go hard into the not the comic book like storylines that they have, but I want them to go deep into like make it a comic book game, right? Like people people are so ridiculous. Like they're like, I don't like the Joker. He doesn't look right, and the umbrella it's unrealistic because it has a rocket on it. And I'm like, mother,
Oh.
what are you talking about? Like, there's a shark that talks that eats people, right? That's a demigod, and you're worried about the Joker's umbrella with rockets. Like go hard on the comic book esque. They showed Deadshot with a cosmetic on his jetpack that looked like a comic book, like the way it was coming out of his jetpack, and I was like, dude, I'll take a whole game like that. Like, if can I skin my guys to look like that and have like a comic book feel? And I think all comic book games, the way they live or die, in my opinion, is we want to be these heroes. Obviously, this is the anti-heroes, but we want to fight as many bosses, in this case, the good guys, as possible. Like, so down the line in my head, I want to fight Aquaman. I want to fight Martian Manhunter. I want to fight all these people. Do you think that's potentially coming into the game down the line? I know I'm setting you up here because
Yeah.
I might ruin something.
Uh, I will say yes.
Okay, that's all I need.
I'll just say yes. I have caught wind of something that I think will make you very happy.
Because, man, all right. How do you think? Because they introduced the PV. It's not PvP. It's competitive PvP, right? Not one-on-one PvP, right? At least that's
What?
that's the way I got from the thing. So it's team based, like, you can do a 1v1, see the time or the score.
Oh, I figured that was they were saying, like, how big your pre-constructed team is. Like, if you have 2 players and 2 bots, then you
Oh,
get stuck in rankings of 2 players, like duos,
oh, is
basically.
that what? Because the way they showed it on the screen was they showed 7 people on the screen, and they replaced 1 through 7, and then they showed like teams of 2, like 3 teams of 2 or 4 teams of 2, and then they showed 3 3 3, and then they showed, I think, 2 teams of 4. So how is that working? Like, is it it's is it like, Exoprimal?
I thought that was just leaderboards, I
It's
really
just
did.
leaderboards. So it's not like you're going
That's
up
what I thought.
against somebody in a mission. It's literally, you do the daily
Yeah.
mission. I happen to do it in 10 minutes, and I scored this much, and now it does on the world leaderboard and shows that's how fast this other team did it in.
Yeah, you've got,
Okay,
like, global leaderboards and
I got
friend
it.
leaderboards and, that kinda mix, but I have tweeted about a mode. I don't know if you saw this. That
I,
was
I
like
didn't.
roughly comparable to. Oh, well, this is gonna blow your mind. Roughly comparable to Destiny's Gambit mode,
Okay,
and I don't believe it's in at launch. I have seen evidence that would suggest it's slated for season one.
okay.
I'm surprised they didn't announce it, but season one's thing was like and more. So I'm looking at
Right.
that and more, like, please God, let that be the and more. But it's a 4v4v4v4
Okay.
PvPvE, and it has direct PvP in it. Um, and teams are eliminated one by one until it's like
Interesting.
just the 2 left. And it doesn't take place in the open world because the arena would be way too big. So everybody, like all of the teams, get sent to like sort of like a closed off section of
Okay.
the open world, or a select few areas. So there's like individual maps for this mode, and it's got like its own objectives. It's got its own augments because part of it is like
Oh,
doing trials for Brainiac,
okay. So
and
that's
if
my
you
next question. So it's a standalone mode. So like the weapons and stuff that you get for your builds won't be coming in there. It'll be more of a just choose the weapon type of thing.
no, I'm pretty sure you bring your build in there,
Okay, so
but
now I'm a little worried though, because doesn't that mean they would potentially nerf like metas? Like, if you're too powerful, they would nerf that gun or nerf that mod.
maybe I don't
Oh
know.
man.
I mean, I imagine that's where they're at right now with it is balancing, um, but yeah, well, I'll tell you, part of the because it's not just like the PvP element of it. You have to do like these little trials to like entertain Brainiac. If you entertain him enough, he grants you like unique to that mode buffs and bonuses and stuff, and like modifies you to some extent. And you use that as an advantage in like the more direct PvP kind of thing. I think, I don't know. There's
So,
different phases.
Salty in chat says it
Um,
sounds like Exoprimal. And do you know Exoprimal? Did you play Exoprimal or seen Exoprimal?
I've seen a little bit of Exoprimal.
So it's a PvPvE type of thing where you're going up against like the horde of dinosaurs or whatnot, and then you're
Mhm.
going in 2 paths. Like the map is like symmetry, and you're going through the map, and it tells you like how far ahead you are or behind the other team. And then at some point, it's almost like Gambit, where one person can basically invade the other team as well to do damage with them. So that's exactly what it kind of sounds like you're saying as well.
Well, I believe, all 4 teams are on the map simultaneously.
Mm.
Um,
Sounds fun.
I'm also pretty sure when one character gets knocked, that they're in, like, a revivable state, but another player can eliminate them, like, from an opposing team.
Mm.
Because I saw a tutorial prompt for that. It was old, though, so, these things
Right,
change,
they can
but
change. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I'm really excited about the mode. I think it sounds great, and I think it's the kind of thing that I think would keep this game like really refreshed going into, season whatever and keeping everybody coming back beyond just the narrative and new guns.
yeah, but King Greek wasn't it an Exo Primal the last area? I didn't think you could interact with the other people and let. Oh no, you could in certain modes. You're correct. Yeah, you could engage, but there was another game mode where only one person could like invade, or you could see them through a certain tunnel or whatever. Yes, you're correct. I just hope that because I really like my looter shooters and stuff like that, and I really like Destiny, but the reason I didn't like Destiny is because the guns were always balanced for PvE and PvP. They didn't want to separate it, right? So I know a lot of people
Mhm.
like that, but they would ruin so many guns because they're like, oh, it's too powerful, and obviously any gun in certain people's hands is always deadlier than the rest, right? So I
Mhm.
just hope it doesn't change the meta of the gun, or all of a sudden like the Bane gear set that someone has it gets nerfed because it's just too OP inside that game mode. But we'll see. I hope it doesn't change too much.
Yeah, we'll have to see how they pull it off.
I mean, and obviously it sounds fun because now you have the competitive like just leaderboards. You have the standalone story missions. You have the end game. You have the mid maxing section. You got the PvP section. So it seems like they have a lot going on. We have a question real quick. Digital says, question for Miller. What villain or hero would he like to see come into the game? And does he have a Quake like fan favorite?
Well, I think probably, like, if I had a Quake equivalent in DC, it would probably be Poison Ivy. I love Poison Ivy. Um, I have seen hints of something very interesting with Poison Ivy that I think will make me very happy. Um, what was the first part of the question?
The
What character would I like to see come in?
Yeah, what villain or hero would you like to see come into the game?
Ooh. Okay, I'm like we talked about Monster Hunter earlier.
Hmm.
My experience with Monster Hunter was very try. I played a lot of try, and the big hallmark of try was like underwater. They're like, "Oh, you can go underwater and fight fish monsters." And like I have such good memories of that. So in the same way we talk about like, oh, they like adding QVK and like you can do like PvPvE and like direct PvP and how much that changes the game and how much it refreshes it. Oh my god, how much would it
Mm.
refresh it if we got like an underwater district with Aquaman?
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
It's
I
too
would die.
unrealistic, though, Miller. I mean, because how are you going to breathe underwater?
I'm just saying
No, that's
like
what
you know
people
what
would
I
be
mean?
like. This is so unrealistic.
Oh, I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And I mean, frankly, too, they hated it about Monster Hunter Try, but I loved it. I loved it.
I think
You
if
know,
you
like, I remember being a kid, I played, like, MapleStory, and then, like, MapleStory introduced, like, Aqua World or whatever it was called. Like, I love that crap. I wouldn't have it any other way.
say that last part again, because
Mhm.
my headset came
That's
undone.
that's okay. I was saying, when I was a kid, I played MapleStory, and then,
Right.
like, at one point, they introduced, like, Aqua World, like, you go underwater. I love that crap.
Mm. Now,
Mhm.
here's another question. I just forgot my question, just like that. Was I gonna
Well, I'll tell you
say now?
another example of the Aqua World. Like, one of I just said my first game, Super Mario Brothers 1, famously questionable underwater sections. Like, that's my thing.
Right.
I was raised on questionable
So
water
so
sections. I
really, what
need more.
you want a single player Aquaman game is what you want.
Oh god. I mean, I wouldn't mind it.
You must
I
have been a
just like
real
video
fan of Echo then. You must have liked Echo, and I'm not talking about the Marvel Echo. I'm talking about the Dolphin Echo. You ever play that game?
Oh, Echo the Dolphin?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
my god. I love neglected franchises. You have no idea. And
I'm,
now I'm like,
I'm
now I'm
starting.
thinking about Knights of the Dream.
I'm starting to understand though a little bit here. So
Yeah, I've been into dead games for years now, decades.
here, Sean in chat kind of refreshed my memory. He said Peacemaker, right? Peacemaker. So I
Oh.
always think they have again. Did you ever play a game called Defiance back in the day, or knew of a game called Defiance?
Is that the one where the guy gets, like, mutant powers or whatever? Not like, Infamous. The one where it's almost like Akira, where he's got this, like, weird, like, homunculus thing that, like, comes out of him?
No, it was a live shooter game. It was an open world game, and it took place with
Oh.
with a television show. Okay, and it was pretty cool for its time. It came out right before Destiny, about a year or two before Destiny. And Defiance was where they had a television show on Sci-Fi Network, and they had the game. The game took place in San Francisco in California, but the show took place in St. Louis, Missouri. Okay, and so the television show would come on, and then they would have characters in the show, and then they would travel. And it would be part written in the show that they're going over to San Francisco to go see the base or whatever, and then they would end up in the actual game. And then the game would have characters that they would
Wow.
introduce in the game, and then they would show up in the actual show. And it was actually pretty cool way they did it.
That was very forward thinking.
Yeah. So now my question to you is, because of everyone thinks the Elseworld is this like thing that they just came up with this game, but James Gunn came out last year and said that they're doing this other main line of DC movies, and everything else
Mm.
falls into the Elseworld. Now, my question to you is, do you think we see
Oh.
like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker down the line, maybe not in the game, but maybe as a skin? Or do we see Robert Pattinson's Batman in the game? Because they're all technically in the Elseworld.
I'm so happy you asked that. I can't
You're welcome.
wait to talk more about that. I think that's a very real possibility. I think James Gunn has been very insistent about the role that games play in the DCU moving forward. And I think having a live service game that's sort of multiverse based, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. Like, do I think, Joaquin Phoenix is gonna come and like mocap a Joker cutscene?
No,
Absolutely not. Um,
absolutely no. It costs way too much money.
but I mean, like, how I don't know, how funny and this isn't gonna happen, but how funny would it be to have, like, storyline 2 be like, "Oh, Suicide Squad kills, like, the DCEU."
Right,
You know what I mean? And, like, literally in the DCEU and, like, ending that timeline or something. It's not gonna happen,
right.
but you know what I mean? Like, you could do fun stuff like that. You could, like, take a jaunt over to the Batman animated series universe, and it's all cel shaded and, like,
Yes,
why not?
that would be cool. Real quick, Krebsy, I understand the Elseworld was in DC, but what I'm saying is the way James Gunn presented it in his video is that he wants to do cross promotion. He wants to do cross where the television show characters can go into the movies, and the movies can go into the to the comic books, and the comic books can go turn into the video game. That's what I'm talking about. So they can take that Elseworld type of stuff and bring it into what Suicide Squads is potentially in the future. Also, obviously, Peacemaker season 2 comes out in 2025, and when he said Peacemaker, I mean, he's probably the most popular character right now in the Suicide Squad because of John Cena and whatnot. Do you see Peacemaker coming into the game?
I haven't seen any sign of it, but again, like, he's a character that famously uses guns. He's popular.
Right.
Why not?
Why not?
I mean, I definitely beyond season 4, I can see characters that have preliminary work done on them or are sort of reserved for future use, but I can't see all of them, you know what I mean? And I know there are more. So there's really no telling beyond season 4 exactly who's coming. Like, it would not surprise me in this because I have like 6 characters that I've seen.
Hmm.
It would not surprise me if it was not one of those 6. You know what I mean? Who's to say?
So I have another question, and maybe you can answer, maybe you can't, maybe you've seen something, maybe you haven't. Do you think that there? I mean, obviously, if you Google Suicide Squad members, there's a broad range of people that were
Oh
anti-heroes,
yeah.
heroes, villains, all in Suicide Squad. Do you think, obviously, this takes place separately, so it's not grounded into the comic books and what Google says about Suicide Squad members, but do you think it's plausible that they could bring in heroes to be a part of the Suicide Squad? And for instance, though, you bring a enchantress in, okay, and
Oh,
obviously, people that use guns or don't use guns, or like Bizarro, happen to come in the game, right? Do you think it's weird that people with like superpowers are using guns on top of their abilities, or do you think they're going to stick with more people that are less meta, like less superpowers and more grounded?
I think it depends on the superpower. Like, I think if my power is to, like, blow you up with my mind,
Hmm,
it probably wouldn't make sense to use a gun.
right,
You know what I mean? But, like, if my power is to, like, read minds, then yeah, it would make sense for me to use a
right,
gun.
like
Like, you
control
know what I
people,
mean?
right, right, right,
Sure, like I think there's a middle ground there. Like King Shark is a metahuman, you know what I mean?
yeah.
But if he wants to, oh, should I just hit my mic? If King Shark is a metahuman. Well, he's not really a human, but anyways,
Right, he's a
he
demigod and he's a
yeah,
shark, yeah.
but I mean he's certainly not a human, like, a regular is there like a canonical word for a non-metahuman or just human?
Just non-human, I guess, right?
Yeah, sure. Homo sapien. Like, if he wants to kill somebody like 100 feet away, he could walk over there, he could pop. Like, there's still a couple
Right,
characters where it's not like implausible. And I think that's sort of probably like a soft line, to be honest. I don't think that they would cross that. If a character can really effortlessly kill, like, and do that much damage without a gun, and where it just wouldn't make sense for them to use the
right,
gun,
why
I
would you
can't
use a
see them
gun?
shoehorning it in.
Alright, I have a
Yeah.
question from Chad. It says, "Just Kevin," says, "For Miller, how likely is Killer Croc at this point? And would literally be a dream come true for me. Ever since seeing him in Arkham Asylum, Croc has as a kid, I've wanted to play him." So, what's the odds of Killer Croc?
I think higher than most.
Higher than most. There you
Like,
go.
there's definitely preliminary work done on Killer Croc. Just based on what I've seen, it could absolutely be that Killer Croc and Katana are, like, post-launch characters 5 and 6, you know what I mean? Like, absolutely. I would 100% believe that. Um, Not necessarily, and again, things change,
Right.
but, like, the fact that they put that work in at all, like, he's definitely on a whiteboard somewhere, 100%.
Okay. Another question is, for Miller, excuse me, are you able to talk about season 2 character more?
Yeah, well, again, I guess the spoiler warning. I talked a lot about Victoria recently. Um, what do you wanna know? I'd love to answer questions about Victoria. I don't know too much, but I know some.
There you go. So, you opened it up so you can ask the question to know more. King Greek says, "Miller, what are the odds of,
Oh,
Kite Man?"
crap. Sorry.
You're right.
Oops. Wait. Oh, no. What did
You're
I
good.
do?
You're good. I see you.
Okay, wait. Um, transform wait, crap.
So what you're saying, there's still a chance. That's right.
Oh god. Transform. Reset,
On my
transform.
side,
Oh, thank God.
on my
Okay, there
side,
we
you
go,
I
there we go, there we
was gonna
go.
say on my side, you're okay. Oh,
Yeah, I
you
was
couldn't
off
move.
center and it
I
was the
gotcha.
whole thing. Okay, we're good. What was the question?
The question is, what are the odds of Kite Man?
That I mean, wouldn't that be cool traversal? You know what I mean? The problem is like when you look at like DC or Marvel, you're looking at like decades and decades and decades of creating cool characters that are beloved. When you're picking like four, like you're excluding
Yeah,
hundreds of characters that are beloved that would be just as cool, and there's no way to get around that.
yeah, you're gonna disappoint a
Like,
lot of people, and other people are gonna be happy. I mean, this is what's happening in Marvels, right? They're like, "Why did you pick Black
you
Panther? You
know
should have picked, yeah, Cyclops or something." Right? That's what people wanted.
yeah, like, if we get to year 5, like, that's the point where it's like, "Okay, but where's my character?" You know what I mean? And then that's, like, a conversation to have. Like, I play this isn't the I play it when I'm at work and I'm bored, but I play Marvel Strike Force, like, on my phone,
How dare you?
and, like, I know.
Uh,
And how long that game's been around for what, like, 5, 7 years now,
uh,
somewhere around
yeah,
there?
I played it. I played it for a bit. And I logged off, and then I bring it back on like a year later. Yeah, I'm guilty as well.
They're adding Charles Xavier right now. You know what I mean? Like, Charles Xavier, like, one of the most iconic X-Men characters, like, of the most iconic Marvel franchise, like, you know what I mean? Like, and that again, that game has been getting a new character, multiple new characters every month
Right.
for, like, at least 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my god, like, there's too many damn characters. Um, so with that said, no, I haven't seen anything for Kite Man. I think he'd be great. If you wanna see Kite Man, support the game, shout him from the rooftops, and maybe you'll get lucky. I hope you do. I think he'd be cool.
Right. The super chat just came in. Ice graphics, $1.99. Thank you very much for that. Any news on Reverse Flash?
There are reverse flash perks that seem to be, like, associated with gear. I was talking to somebody about this on Twitter today. So it's like, we said, like, Infamous gear has, like, gear set bonuses, and the Notorious gear is just, like, regular villain themed stuff. It looks to me, with that in mind, like there are 3 Reverse Flash Notorious, gear pieces in the
Okay.
works, and 2 of them are for season 1. So, hopefully you'll see a little of Reverse Flash.
I'm excited
Um
about all this different gear and stuff that you can build. There's so many different builds that you can do. So many different
I'm
builds.
more excited, like, seeing it in motion than I was before, you know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
think on paper, there's something about it that's kind of like, "Oh." Like, I remember when they first, sort of announced the concept, like, it was like, "Oh, that kinda sucks." Like, honestly, like, I was really, really apprehensive about it, and then seeing it in motion, I'm like, "You know what? I'm kinda into it." You know?
Yeah.
It's good little flavor.
Who
It's great customization too.
Obviously you're gonna play all the characters, I would assume, but who's gonna be your main?
Mm. I I've been interested in, I always like a weird pick, you know what I mean? Like, I'll ask, like, "Who's everybody picking?" Just to see who the least people
Right,
pick
and
and
then
then play
pick it.
that one, you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, that to me is King Shark and Harley. I think Harley's traversal has a lot of detractors, and
Yeah,
I
but
think it's a
that's
little m
that skill tree,
I
when you
think
read
it's
the skill tree,
misunderstood.
she
Oh, that too.
she becomes really good. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of theory crafting going on right now just about, like, the little bit of gear we've seen, and Harley, where it's like, "Oh, she seems kinda busted," but also Killer Shark King Shark to me seems like the the least popular choice overall, and I think he's great. So, maybe I'll play a little King Shark, a little Harley.
Yeah, I was leaning towards King Shark originally, and then I did some videos, because Triple G did a video, and he just kinda showcased each character and then went to the skill tree and then just kinda, like, hovered over. There was, like, no saying anything. He just went over each one for, like, a split second,
Mm,
and I went in and obviously dissected it and paused it on each one,
yeah.
freeze framed, and showed, and then made some videos for each of the characters, and when I went through them, I was like, "Man," I was like, "This is gonna be pretty badass." I was like, "I'm kinda leaning more towards Captain Boomerang," but then I got to Harley, which is my least favorite because of the traversal during the alpha. You didn't play the alpha, did you? Right?
I watched a ton of gameplay. Uh, I had friends and some very nice volunteers play for me
Right, right.
live privately, so I was able to ask them to do things and you know what I mean? Sort of, kind of
Right, because you
play
didn't wanna sign the
ish.
NDA, I gotcha. Um,
Exactly.
so when I read all the skill tree stuff, I was like, "Oh, man, she seems like she's gonna be pretty good," and I kinda wanna play her. Now, when I play the game, I'm gonna play through the story campaign and kinda go through each character just casually doing it, and then once I hit endgame, you gotta hit one character to level 30 if you wanna maximize, opening that talent tree, or the squad
Mhm.
talents so you can start leveling up the rest. But yeah, I'm leaning more towards Harley now in the thing. Got a super chat again from Ice Graphic. Says for 4.99. Appreciate that. He says, "Will they be releasing any DLC characters that won't have gunplay?"
Oh, honestly, I don't see it. Like, we're talking about post-launch content and, it's a looter shooter and revolves around sort of finding that gear. I think like we were just talking, like going into a year 5 scenario,
Mhm.
get weird with it, you know what I mean?
Why
Like,
not?
yeah, try something different.
Yeah, why not?
But like, year 1 and 2 kind of vibe, I very much doubt it. It would just require such a systems overhaul to accommodate that. Like, it's funny, I was talking about MapleStory before, and this is maybe the weirdest point of reference, but, like, when MapleStory launched, it had a very rigid class system, and you go back to MapleStory now, and that class system, like, basically doesn't exist.
Yeah,
Like, those classes are still there, but they started making, like, custom character classes that sort of exist outside of that system and have totally different, um, job progression, like, totally different from the base, ones. But I mean, that took years to get there, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
If the game is healthy and the game lasts a while, yeah, I could see it. Why not? But, like, in the first couple years, I think they wanna be a little more pragmatic.
I got a question for you here. It says, I know plans are subject to change, but could you ask, or I am asking, if you could drop some hints on the earmarked year 2 characters?
Oh, well, I did say, where they're from, basically, DC-wise, that 3 are kind of Batman-centric, which I'm including Killer Croc and Katana in. I know Katana is, like, a controversial
Catwoman?
choice, but just to make it clear where Katana is.
Catwoman coming?
3 3 that are kind of Batman-centric, 1 that is known for Aquaman,
Ooh.
1 that is known for The Flash, and 1 that is a complete free agent, and I don't really consider part of anyone's rogue gallery, and I love her. I think she's amazing. I think
Ooh.
she's an extremely cool
There you
choice.
go, Chad. It's a
I think
girl.
I think people, when they hear that name, are gonna be like, "Who?" But I adore her. I think, um, she sort of reminds me of, like, a very famous Scooby-Doo movie, you know? I'll just say that. There's a there's a very, very popular Scooby-Doo movie that she kind of reminds me of.
Okay.
Yeah. I think some people are maybe gonna get that, I'm gonna be surprised, but that's my hint.
Okay, one more here. It says, can you please ask Miller what he thinks the chances are we get Red Hood as a playable character?
I have to imagine he's definitely in consideration for year 2. Like, I was hearing, like, um oh, I can't say that. Um, there was a time when, like, year 1 was subject to change, right? When I saw the alpha build, it's very clear what their plans are, and they're very far along on certain things. And, like, could they maybe bump something? Sure, but, like, it's way too late to abandon something completely. And then it would be a rush to catch up on the thing that now moves up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it too far along to make, like, massive seismic changes.
I
Year 2 is absolutely in the realm of making seismic changes just based on sort of like fan demand and trying to
Right,
please
how
people.
popular the game
And
is, what's going on. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've really not heard any character requested more than Red Hood, to be frank. So, like in the same way, because there was like I don't know if you ever saw it. There was like a leaked crop of a work in progress roadmap that Crystal Dynamics were doing with Avengers, like when Brian took over,
Mhm.
and it was like I believe it was like shared in a group chat, and then somebody somebody shared it online. But anyways, um, they knew people wanted Doctor Strange and Wanda. You know what I mean? They're like, if we're gonna pivot and we have enough money,
Yep.
that's where we're going. Step one. And, like, Red Hood is kind of that for them, like, I I have to imagine he's in consideration for year 2, totally,
I think it'd
which
be
isn't that
cool.
far away.
I think it'd be cool if they brought the Red Hood from Gotham Knights, the other game,
Well, why not? I
right?
mean, there are multiversal characters and there are non-multiversal
Right.
characters, you know? I think they want a healthy balance between the 2.
That'd be interesting. Let's see. Let's see. Hey Miller, thank you for all the work that you have been doing with the leaks. I like what you're most excited about when the game comes out. Is there anything that hasn't leaked yet that you look for, or yet that you look for?
Well, that one character that I just talked about that I'm obsessed with, oh my god. Ooh. Um, hmm.
Elder Mark, I can answer that real fast. There's nothing about Peacemaker as of right now. We talked about it a little bit earlier.
Well, there are, like, Easter egg kinda things, like, it's sort of implied that he exists canonically
Right.
in the Arkhamverse, but, like, it's just, like, graffiti and stuff.
Right. Nothing of a
Um,
playable character.
yeah, no, there's a lot of, like, incidental references to Aquaman, like, he's clearly kicking around, but, yeah, Peacemaker, I think it's just graffiti. Um, oh, okay, the cosmetics, because, like, there's nothing really in the alpha build that wasn't announced, like, beyond the color swatches. And I think you're gonna get a kick out of this. There's a set of outfits called Max Volume, and the models are in there, but not any textures or anything, so they're just like mobs.
Okay.
But um I have to imagine they're like metal themed, like stage wear.
Hmm.
And Harley's, from what I can make out, has like, like the dolls that were around in the Insider, like the Green Lantern doll that Deadshot was shooting and the
Yeah, yeah. And
Joker doll
the
that Harley
Joker
was
doll she
playing
was
with. Yeah,
holding.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there's like Harley's has like those dolls like on her shoulders, I think, and I think she has like it's like a see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil kind of thing, like on the head where like there's like other faces on the side. Like I don't know,
Okay.
it sounds crazy. Just based on what I can parse from just looking at the model. That's like the big smoking gun for cosmetics in the alpha build. And I'm so curious to see what that looks like, and I haven't shown those off because there's not much to show, but I'm very, very curious to see those. The
So,
cosmetics is my answer.
somebody asked a question a long time ago about the store. Have you seen anything about the cosmetic store? They haven't mentioned anything about the store, and I guess what the person's asking
Ooh,
is like price range. Like, you know what I mean? Is it be
uh,
astronomical or
sadly, no prices.
no
I
price?
mean, there was a German show the other day that broke NDA and showed off the store from whatever build they got to play, but it's like, 2 rows of 4 each, I believe it was 4. And they were on the front page, and there's like different pages, so it looks like it's like featured and then outfits, or maybe it starts with outfit. I don't know, but anyways, there's outfits, banners, and I want to say like those like taunt animations and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then as they were going through it, it looks like there's like a mix of like bundles and just like a la carte outfits, and the bundles have like a discount on them, like compared to just buying all the items on their own. And what was interesting, of course, there's no telling if this is actually going to be its state when the game launches. But what's interesting is they were the classic suits from the pre-orders
Right.
that were there on the shop. So this whole like no FOMO strategy has me thinking, are they just going to sell the pre-order cosmetics like right away? You know what I mean?
Mm.
To like not punish the people who didn't pre-order in the same no FOMO sense. I don't know. But that's really all we've gotten to see of the shop, unfortunately, which is more than I think people know, but not enough still, because it's launching with the game in like what, 6 days
Yeah,
now?
6 days. Yeah.
Yeah, where is it? I want to see it.
Ty in chat asked a couple questions, but I'll take his last one. He says, have you seen anything in the battle pass?"
No. Well,
I
um
like how you're like,
there's
no, yeah, yeah, yes, but no.
okay, maybe this is the thing I'm most excited about that hasn't leaked. There is something about the battle pass that it has been under people's breath, and um I think I caught wind of it, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure, and it sounds great. And it looks like we're not getting a battle pass until season 1, so they still have this period in between to announce, what the battle pass is gonna be like, and I'm sure they will. Um, but I do kind of wish they'd already announced it because I think it's a win. I think it's a win. I think it sounds great,
Are they gonna do what like
but we'll have to see that.
what Halo? Do you think they'll do what Halo does, where the season pass comes out, the battle pass comes out, it doesn't ever fire? Like you can just
Well, that would be in keeping with the no FOMO strategy, wouldn't it? And
right,
I think some people interpreted it that way. Um, Like, I in fact, I got sent that clip from, the Insider with people saying, like, "You have to post this. This means the battle passes don't expire." And it's like, "Not really," but it certainly would be in keeping with that strategy, wouldn't it?
right. I mean, we can. think about it, but we don't know for sure, right? Obviously.
You know, they said it was gonna be the most generous, the most player-friendly experience in live service gaming for you know what I mean? Like,
What's your take on games that do the free content over like the paid DLC? Like, do you lean more towards one or the other?
it all depends on how the game sells. I think if you have millions of people playing, it makes perfect sense because then, you have enough people buying the cosmetics that you're still rolling in money.
Right.
If the game bombs, then that's the nail in the coffin. You know what I mean? Because you're just
Hmm.
not making enough money.
Yeah.
But you really don't know that until the game is out. So it's kind of a catch-22.
Yeah, see,
Like,
I'm old school. I like the DLC stuff, right? Because I like supporting things that you like. So if the game came out and
right.
it
And
was
I mean,
banging, right?
I
It was
always
just good
say
or
about
not.
Avengers, like the problem with the one of the big problems with Avengers was like naturally the thing that's bringing in the money gets the attention.
Right.
So it's like if they have 3, 4 people to spare, what are those 3, 4 people working on? Cosmetics,
Yeah.
because that keeps the lights on, you know what I mean? Like, if you're able to pay like, if that situation was like, "Oh, we're releasing these content drops and those content drops are paid," those content drops would've looked a lot better than they did,
Yeah.
because that would have been the thing that's like sink or swim for them, and not every publisher or studio subscribes to that belief, sometimes they care about their reputation a little more, but at the end of the day, you kinda can't blame them to an extent,
Right.
and I so yeah, it makes me worried, I can't lie.
I see. I like it where if you buy the DLC, because once they say free, Marvel said free, and then they screwed it up, right? And then they, like I said,
I
chased their tail the
know.
whole time. A little bit of me is like, ah, man, they said free, and if they don't make enough sales in the cosmetic store, then the game's done in like 20 months, right? 20 24 months, whatever.
Mhm.
And then if it's successful, because they make the game fun, right? And my slogan on this channel is make a game, sell a game, right? Whatever that is, make the
Mhm.
game is the most passionate. Put all that stuff, make a game, sell that game, and they're selling. The content is going to keep you coming back, and they said it themselves. You don't have to play this game all the time. You could put it down, come back in season two, and then all that stuff will be there for you. So there's no FOMO, and you can just play the game and come back and enjoy. And I think as long as they
Great.
keep making that game and keep selling, when selling meaning free, and keep putting and keeping people coming back, I think people will buy the cosmetics, because if the game is fun and they're having an enjoyment, people will pay. It's just a different kind of pay, right? I like Borderlands.
Mhm.
Borderlands, I love paying for the DLCs. They had like 4 DLCs, 5 DLCs. You just kept buying them, and they were like $20, 15, $20. And it was good substantive content. I think a lot of people are worried about the story driven stuff, and that once the looter part starts, that they're just going to throw the narrative out the door, even though they said this is the biggest narrative and cutscenes they've ever done in any of their games.
I mean, I hope it works out for them. Like, it was my biggest fear going in, like, looking back on like, that the first, coverage of Suicide Squad I ever really did was, like, a very scathing thread about that monetization model, and because it again, if the game does very well, it's your golden ticket, but if the game is bombing, like, it's the anchor, like, you
Right.
can't get up. I it worries me. Well, I mean, what I find interesting, though, about it is there have been, like, rumors about, like, going into year 2, maybe the monetization system changing or them sort of going back to the drawing board a little bit,
Hmm.
tweaking it maybe, who knows to what extent. Um, that speaks to a bravery that, like, because when it came time when Avengers had no money, they weren't like, "Well, let's change it." Well, I'll tell you this, were people at Crystal Dynamics, like one director that comes to mind, that was like, "Let's sell the campaign. Let's make the game free to play, sell the campaign for $20. Like, let's change the monetization around a little bit. Let's fix this." And I believe the conclusion that they came to was like, "No, we have to stick to what we promised and da 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 da." And I like that they're already sort of planting the seeds for like, "Hey, listen, this might not work."
Right.
You know what I mean? Like allow us to change. Like, I mean, well, maybe not allow us, but like, if it's not working, we're gonna try to fix it. And that is a relief to me. Like, I mean, we were talking about, I mean, well, we weren't talking about, but the the alpha NDA. That's a pretty unprecedented
Yeah,
move to months later, like, rescind the NDA. Like, again, speaks to a certain bravery that impresses me.
yeah.
Like, it's a I've been critical of their comms and being a little rigid, but every so often they make a move that I'm like, damn, other people wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, okay, someone's listening, someone is awake. I'm I'm cautiously optimistic.
I think a lot of people. I mean, obviously, if you're a fan of the game, I think is gonna get excited for it. But I think it'll be mid. And when I say mid, obviously, it's gonna be like an 8, 7, 8, where the reviewers and I stopped giving two shits about what IGN thinks about anything. So because
I mean, people gave like Pokemon Sword and Shield nines. Like, you know, like really, like, and I feel like like as gamers, we sort of decide when it's okay to care.
yeah,
Even about like specific outlets, even about specific writers. Like, if we don't agree with the review, then like, oh, they're trash, like this, we don't listen to reviewers, da da da. But if we love the game,
right.
oh, look, it got a 10 out of 10 on Game Informer. Can you believe it?
Right.
And it's like, you know,
All right, real quick.
it's just an extension of what people want to believe.
Another question because they keep asking and over and over. So they want to know if Victoria what Victoria looks like. Bald, scriber.
Oh, okay. I don't believe she's bald. I can't, don't quote me on that. I don't believe she's bald. As far as I know, she has a suit. I don't know if it's a very similar suit to Victor, but as far as I know, she does have a suit. And as far as I know, her stature is quite large. She is a gym rat. She is a very bulky lady. She could lift you over her head, I assume.
I can
And
already see the YouTube videos already.
yep, yeah, I think yeah, there I think some artists are going to be very happy.
Let's see here. Bat says Roxy seems that they're listening to the fans because they're adding offline mode that was highly requested. Yeah, I kind of think they can't get it into at launch, but at the same time, I think they're kind of not saying they're going to forget about it, but they're going to see how everyone, because at times you're going to have to go back online anyway to download the new stuff, right? It's not if you're offline, you're going to have to go online to get the new seasons and whatever else is coming to the game. But it is nice that they're putting an offline mode in. I know a lot of people last year were like, "I'm not getting this game, no offline mode, screw them." And now they've
Mhm.
changed their tune. They're like, "Oh well, it's offline. It's coming down the line. I'll get it."
I mean, my stance has always been like to give you no offline option whatsoever. Like it's not even a purchase, it's a rental. Like, and I mean, maybe that's toxic, maybe
Right.
whatever. But like, you look at like stuff like Drive Club. You know what I mean? Like it's gone forever. It's gone forever. You cannot play like imagine if, Marvel Heroes Omega was like a $60 purchase.
I missed that game.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like I wish that people at least had an option. I wish that it was in more developers' minds, like, okay, make an online only game or whatever, but like give people the option to like run their own servers. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
make you know what I mean? Like launch
Hey, just give us an
PC
option. Don't just
software
shut
that
it
allow
down. Give us an option. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like give people like go into it knowing that you're going to come out of it one day and plan for that. Like like Avengers did, luckily, but Avengers was always very cagey about saying that, and I think they caught a lot of shit for that in the middle part, where it was like, you could just say it, evidently, because apparently that was the plan the whole time,
Right.
and I can remember some very I can remember some times where people were getting a lot of views dunking on their approach to online content because you only had access to, like, a couple outfits offline, and if you bought some, you just didn't have access to them offline. Like, you had to go online to be able to, like, use the cosmetics that you bought, and people are like, "When the servers shut down, they're gone. Like, what the hell is this?"
Oh.
And we all knew it was gonna happen eventually because it was a Marvel licensed game. Square Enix doesn't own
Yeah.
Marvel.
That's the worst part about these type of games where the big IPs like this.
Well, I mean, that's what's good in a sick kind of way
Right,
about the
good and
vertical
bad.
integration of
Yeah,
DC, you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like,
yeah.
they're owned by a parent company, massive conglomerate that owns the video game publisher. Hooray, it's all incestuous, and they don't have to worry. And, like, I mean, you can buy very old DC games today. Like, not all of them, but many, many, many.
Right.
And so I'm a little more optimistic about Suicide Squad sticking around in terms of server health in that sense.
I
But nevertheless, I'm happy offline mode is coming because, there are different circumstances, and 100 years from now, people deserve to be able to play it if they want to. This is our culture. This is
right.
this is our history. Like, I mean, I don't know if my great great grandchild wants to find out what the fuck I was talking about on the 30NS podcast, they deserve to have the opportunity to do so.
Right, the option to do it. Yeah. Yeah. All right, a question here is there more melee animations? It plays the same three ways too many times. Like, so I guess what they're asking is there more than three animations of just the same old animations for the melee, or is there more that unlock or uh change along the way?
Well, to be honest, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I do know that there are like within the category of melee weapons, like subtypes. Like Harley's is bludgeons, but she's got hammers and bats. And so I wonder if there aren't animation differences between those two, perhaps.
Maybe like the hammer
Like
like looks like it's heavier or whatnot. Yeah.
well, like King Shark has like combat knives and he has sickles.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I mean, kudos to them if those animations can be used for both of them every time and still look right. But I would imagine there would be some difference therein.
Another one is where is it? That's oh, do you know anything more about like the type of content as far as like the strongholds, and is there going to be like Destiny type raids?
Okay, strongholds have eluded me. As far as I can tell, I'll just be candid. There, like before I saw the stronghold thing, it was my understanding there was an objective type called Behemoth. And Behemoth was like one of the sub bosses from the campaign. So like the giant spider tank, let's say, right, with the cannon. Um as far then I saw the stronghold thing and I'm like, "Oh, what the hell is the stronghold objective type? Like, let's look this up." And all of the UI elements for the stronghold objective type are just the spider tank with the cannon. And it seems that part of it is the spider tank with the cannon boss fight, at least the first of the strongholds, because that's in the roadmap being like more strongholds, you know what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
like, oh, okay, but whatever the first one is, um, maybe it's just that. I don't know. It's very hard for me to tell. It's very amorphous. The most concrete thing I have is that there's like a series of tutorial videos that play for the different objective types, like in the menu that like sort of shows you like how to play them. Um, I don't think there is one for Stronghold. Strongholds are eluding me at the moment, unfortunately. I'm hoping I can learn a little more about it before launch, but I mean, TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that's not a better answer.
No. Look, screw those people if they don't get the answers they
No,
want,
no,
right?
no.
You're the only person that has the answers, and if you don't have them, tough shit, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. You
I'm
have to wait for the game to
trying.
come out. Ice Graphics with the $1.99 super chat. I appreciate it. PvP. We talked about PvP earlier in the channel. I don't want to kind of like go back and repeat what we already
Well,
talked
I
about.
can Reader's Digest.
Yeah. So I mean, go ahead. You could say it again, but you can rewind. You can rewind the channel. We literally talked about the PvP and the different game modes and stuff like that. So
Well,
go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, brass tacks. There is a PvPvE mode in progress. The name on it is QVK. I think it's an acronym. I'm not sure what the acronym is for. There's a lot of finished assets for it. Takes place in phases. Some of it is versus enemies, some of it is versus player. The concept is that you are trying to entertain Brainiac. Um, so there's like 4 teams of 4. You're trying to entertain Brainiac more than your opponents. The teams that do get buffs that help them take out their other teams until one remains and they win.
Sounds it does sound entertaining. It does sound interesting. I have a
Sounds
question.
replayable.
I have a question.
Mm.
Is Lex Luthor going to be a playable character?
Oh. I
You can't
Okay,
say it
I
because
haven't seen anything.
can't say it
No,
'cause it's
no,
going
no,
to ruin the
no.
story.
I haven't seen anything to suggest that, but let me tell you, God, I wish, because, oh my god, that performance is my favorite in the game.
Really?
Yeah, it's, I feel terrible that his name is eluding me right now, but it's the guy from the last couple Hitman games.
Oh, I forget the guy's name. I know who you're talking about though.
Someone in chat will remind us. But anyways, incredible. Oh my god, some of these line deliveries, like, the writing is good, but, like, oh my god, does he elevate it. He brings a gun to a knife fight. Like, it's crazy what he does with this character. I I've consumed DC media over the course of my life. Like, I was, very much a nerd, like, growing up with, like, DC cartoons and, the golden age, and I was never crazy about Lex. He has made me crazy about Lex. Like, I
Interesting.
love this interpretation. I think it's golden. I wish he was a playable character. I need more.
I liked Michael Roseblum. Is that his name from Smallville? I liked his iteration of Lex Luthor during that show. I don't know if you
I
ever
had
watched
a
Smallville.
friend of a friend. Well, I had a friend of a friend that was, I met him at a dinner party. He was, Tom Welling's, like, camera double.
Oh, okay.
So, like, when they're getting a shot ready, like, he comes out and tests the lighting and
Hmm.
stuff and makes sure that, like,
Yep.
yeah, and then he leaves. Yeah, that guy for Tom Welling. His name was
The
Simone.
stand-in. Yeah. Uh,
Great guy.
I knew the
Oh.
makeup artist that did the show, and I was actually
Oh, yeah?
trying to get on the show because it used to film in Vancouver. I don't live in Vancouver. I live in
Mhm.
Florida, but I traveled all over the world and stuff, and I tried to get on that show so many times when I was early on in my career.
Yeah,
So,
it was when I was in Vancouver for a brief bit. I met that guy. It was so nice.
are you up in Canada? Is that where you reside?
Yeah, I'm in Ontario right
Okay.
now. For a time, I was like, "I'm moving to Vancouver." And I had, like, a friend of mine got signed to this, like, label, and we did, like, the whole entourage bit. It just didn't work out. But there was a good couple months where I'm like, "I'm gonna move," and I tried, but yeah, came back home.
Should have done it when you're young. Do it. Chat. If you're young and you want to do something, do it. Do it now.
Well, let me tell you, I did it. We would live like, this was, oh gosh, this was a very long time ago, and it was like a $1.5 million condo. Like, it was right on the waterfront. It was beautiful. Like, all
That sounds like a better. When I first moved out to LA, do you know what I did? I paid $100 a month to live in a walk-in closet, and I'm not saying it was an apartment that looked like a walk-in closet. I literally paid someone $100, and I put a mattress in their walk-in closet, and that's where I was for a couple months.
wow.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
hard. I love that stuff. Like, I'm. It was kind of comparable to that. I won't lie. Like, I basically lived in the living room, but it was nice. It was an adventure.
Dolphin says, "Do it before you're trapped with kids." Sounds like you know it from experience, Dolphin. Sounds like you know. All right. I'm trying to think of anything else. We've been doing it for about 2 hours. I think Miller has other things to do. So, uh, any last questions
It's
for
gone by
Miller?
so fast.
Well, that's what happens when you're on with me. It's constant information, constant talking. It flies by. Oh, my first guest thought he was going to be on for like 30 minutes. He's like, I think I can do it for 30 minutes. 2.5 hours later, and then he came back. And then he came back a couple weeks later.
Wow.
Because he
Oh,
liked it so
yeah,
much.
yeah. You weren't done.
Yeah. So look, I love talking to people. I thank you very much for your time to come on the show and
Oh, anytime. Honestly, like, I just love, getting to meet, like, different people from the community and just branching out, getting out there.
yeah.
I think, to be honest with you, like, looking back at my time with adventures, that was, like, always the most fulfilling part, was, like, actually getting to talk to people and see, like, um, how do I explain it? Like, when you look at sort of like all the content creators that are covering a game, or like the Twitch stats, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, a lot of those people know each other, right? But they're like in different corners. Like, you could kind of map them out. And just being able to sort of cross over to this one and to that one and to that one, like, and sort of get to know people, you know what I mean? And I don't know, it's fulfilling, it's nice.
Real quick, Lurker has a question. I missed your question earlier, Lurker. He says, Miller, do you still enjoy playing these games as a data miner, or do you step away and enjoy games where you get to be a little bit surprised?
I feel like when I oh, how do I explain that? Oh,
I think I actually that's a
that
question I was going to ask. Like, I can watch movies and no spoilers, and it
mm,
doesn't ruin the movie for me, right? So, are you
mhm.
along the same lines where you can like the story or by data mining, but are you still going to enjoy the story, or is it kind of like whatever?
Oh, I am so gonna enjoy it, and I mean, I'll tell you, like, there I forget what I tallied, I won't even guess, but there's, like, hours and hours and like, days worth of dialogue in Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. Like, I I could have spent this entire time since the alpha, like, listening to dialogue and cataloging it, and I still wouldn't be done. You know what I mean? And that's just the dialogue. Like, there's so much that I don't know in there still.
Right.
Like, I I might know some story beats and broad strokes and stuff, but even just from a narrative perspective, I don't know everything. And I think this conversation sort of speaks to that. You know what I mean? We talk
Hmm.
about different elements. I'm like, ah, you know, there's only I have a limited purview, and I think that helps and hurts. As far as my enjoyment of the game, it absolutely helps, you know?
Right.
But do I play games outside of data mining? Oh, definitely. Um I'll tell you though, if I ever enjoy a game enough, there's always that part in my brain that's like, go in, like just do it. Like, you know what I mean?
Uh,
Like I'm like, when's the next like I got into like Among Us VR, and I'm like, get in there. Like, come on.
what
You know?
did you find inside Among Us VR?
I didn't. I talked
Oh,
myself out of it,
okay.
thank God. Oh, and also I went on their Discord and they were already teasing the next update, so I'm like, girl, you're good. Calm down. Like, you know, it's unnecessary. Stand down.
Ice Graphics, $1.99. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it tonight. It also asks, will there be a premiere skins like Justice League 2? Injustice 2, sorry.
I would love that. Like, the problem is, so like there's stuff that's naturally omitted from the build that I know when they compiled this build, like they had sitting in their dev build. You know what I mean? Like 100%.
Right.
Like the Joker cutscenes that we saw, like none of that stuff is in there. There's a whole lot that's omitted. Like the oh gosh, the actual model and stuff for the Deadshot Wayne Tech skin, like that was gone. You know what I mean? There's a lot that they just pull out because they don't want people to see, but they only have so much time to do that and they miss stuff and you know what I mean? And therein is where I fester. But as far as the cosmetics go, they scrubbed that shit. Like there's exactly in there what needs to be there. So there's like um pretty much just everything that's announced. And then, you know, the customization options for that, the color swatches for that. Um, but are there like skin like full skins outside of that? Not one. And so that's really my big question mark. I don't know their strategy long term with cosmetics, but like we talked about learning lessons from Avengers. I think one of the biggest lessons is like don't wait to do cool shit with the cosmetics.
Right.
Don't
Yeah.
wait.
No,
You know
we're
what I
not
mean?
we're
Like
not
people
doing the
make
movie skins. We're not doing the movie skins. Oh, by the way, we're doing the movie skins. Like,
right
why are
like
you playing cagey, man? Just do it.
and people make their minds up and then it cements. You know what I mean? Like be there as early as you can, at least with the news of like what you plan to do, because yeah, people just make their minds up about what it is, and then you can't sway them. They're done. They're gone. You know what I
Right.
mean? You've lost a purchase forever. Like I I have seen some names of skin sets, but none of them appear to be film based. But
Okay.
I will say, um, that one of these sets was WB 100. And I think what that was, had the game launched last year, it would have celebrated the 100-year anniversary of Warner
Oh, Warner
Brothers
Brothers. Yeah, yeah.
with right? Because that was last year, it was the 100th anniversary of Warner Brothers, and I can imagine those suits would have been from various Warner Brothers properties, like, maybe, King Shark has, like, a Bugs Bunny suit or something, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, there's lots of options there, right? Stuff like that. It seems like their mind is already in that direction.
You know what I just thought of? Another way they could monetize things. And me saying this might sound bad, but do you think it could be possible that they could sell cosmetic skins for the NPC? Like you're fighting Batman, but you buy a cosmetic skin where it's like Batman Beyond, or it's the animated series Batman, or it's Superman from a certain. Like, do you think that's
I
plausible?
don't know how much that would sell. Like, I mean,
I don't know.
I think
I
that's
think I'd be
where
surprised.
really? Wow.
Wouldn't you want to fight like one of the like? Come on, like not just the
From, like, a
Batman,
purely cosmetic
just
standpoint,
a
though,
cosmetic. You're just buying a cosmetic for the bad guy to see in a cool outfit.
I don't know that I would.
That
But, I
says I
mean,
would
maybe
pay
I'm in
for
the
it personally.
minority. I hadn't thought of it, honestly. Maybe I have
It
to
just
sleep on
popped in my
that.
head as we were just talking about it. I was like, I've never,
I feel like there's people out there that are listening to this and being like, "These fucking
yeah, they're
shills."
like this. Look at
You
this
know what I
fucking
mean? Like
guy. Look what he just did. He just ruined the industry all by himself. Yeah. Hey, listen, calm down, chat. Call of Duty's selling reticles for dollars and $2. At least I'm
Is
giving you
that
something,
true?
right? Yeah, well, yeah, they did that in the past. You didn't know that?
No,
Yeah, they
I've
they
never
sold
really
a
gotten into
dot, a
Call of
red
Duty.
dot for like a dollar or $2, whatever it was. At least I'm giving you
That is
at least I'm giving you a skin that looks badass, right? Like Michael
I'm
Keaton
surprised that's
Batman. You
not like
wouldn't
a
want to
horse
fight Michael
armor
Keaton
level.
Batman? Come on.
Okay, like, I think it depends on how much changes, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, are we talking, like, a different voice to
No, no,
like,
no,
not
no,
that I'm,
no.
like
It would still be Conroy's voice as Batman. It would just visually look like the Batman that you want,
I mean, I think content creators would go gaga for it because, like, imagine the YouTube shorts you could make,
right?
you know? Ugh.
All right. One more question. I think there's one more question, and then we'll go. Does it matter, Charles? You take off Boomerang's Flash skin, like off his coat in the Flash skin? I don't know. Just
Okay, here well,
now that's
I'll
really
tell you,
specific. You're getting really specific here.
there's only one okay, this is just in the alpha build, this is subject to change. There's only one customization option. Like, the JLA skin set is different in that there really isn't customization for it. Like, the classic suits
Right.
all have customization. They all have a ton of color swatches, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
The JLA suits seem a lot more like
WB approved
they
and said
don't
you can't go off of this. This is what it is.
maybe.
Yeah.
But the only one that I saw was that you could, like, Deadshot could take off his helmet.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the only one of the JLA sets, but again, subject to change, the game could launch in 6 days with a full suite of customization for those skins, and, it's just a byproduct of me looking at an alpha build that has stuff unfinished and pulled out of it and yada, yada, yada. Can't say for sure, but in the alpha build, there's only one customization for the JLA skins, and it's Deadshot with no helmet.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask you a question. Are you going to start streaming again? Are you going to be streaming Suicide Squad when
Oh.
it comes out?
Yes. Well, 100% I'm gonna be streaming Suicide Squad. 100%. Um, I'll probably do like a 24-hour I don't know. But I took like a bunch of days off work, like for the early access. So I'm going to be spending all of that. I'm not really at least for like the first week, I'm not gonna play it off stream.
There you go.
Like I can tell you that much. Um, I I'm curious how I'm gonna data mine and do that at the same time because I'm so curious to get in there with the,
Well, you have
retail build,
you
but
have to eat. So while you're at lunch, you could.
oh, that
There
too.
you go.
I'm yes, I'm absolutely diving back. I wish I had already dived back in. I got sick over the holidays. Today is honestly the first day that I feel like I'm talking for an extended period and I'm still sounding like a normal person. Like, I got sick on Boxing Day, like the day after Christmas,
Yeah.
and I had a terrible flu for like a terrible fever for like 5 days. Like I felt like I was dying.
Yeah. When I was talking
Like
to
I
you, you
ended
said
up
you
at
were
the
in the hospital and
hospital.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up in the hospital, and the girl that was doing the throat swab was, like, training another nurse, and she's like, "So you see in there by the uvula where it's all swollen and messed up, and, you just wanna scratch that part with the strep. Just scratch that part with the strep." And I'm like, "Okay, so they obviously all think it's, like, strep." And then the test came back negative for strep, and nobody could say what it was. They were just like, "Eh, it's just probably a really bad flu." And it's like, "Well, damn, it's been, like, 3 weeks now."
Mm.
And but luckily, like, a week later, I'm doing a lot better, and then today I feel good because like, my family too, we all got together for the holidays. My uncle was, like, sick as a dog because I got sick from him, and we're a family that, like, doesn't drink, but during Christmas holidays, we drink, you know what
Sure.
I mean? Like, pretty much. Like, I'll have, like, a shot with my grandma over Christmas, like, it's a very different vibe this, like, couple days, and we bought alcohol for it, and, like, nobody drank it, you know what I mean? And I had my birthday recently too, you know what I mean? I'm just that's all sitting there, and I'm still sick as a dog, like, I gotta have some fun soon, really bad, and I love having fun like that on stream. Everybody remembers the whole mystery character drama. It's because I got drunk on stream one day and said what I shouldn't have, so
Yeah.
maybe I'll do it again.
Tune in. So go ahead. Tell people where
Yeah.
they can find you. What do you got going on?
Well, you can Google me, you can Google, like, Twitter Miller Ross, Twitch Miller Ross, you'll find me. Um, if you want the URL, it's twitter.com/Miller with 8 M's, that's MMMMMMMILLER. Um Yeah, I do a little writing on Xputer every now and then, which is a lot of fun. Gonna be getting back to Twitch streaming. You never know what you're gonna get with me. Even on Twitter, honestly, everybody always says this is like the weirdest account I've ever followed.
I'm terrible at Twitter. Like I almost forgot to tweet out that I was going live with you. Like I don't really use Twitter very much. You know,
It's tough, and I honestly, like, it's getting into like dead internet theory lately. Like, so much of it is literally just bots replying to bots. Like,
oh
it's
yeah,
starting to look like Facebook.
yeah. I
You
have
ever go
bots.
back to
I have.
Facebook? Like,
Oh no, I don't use Facebook. My wife tells me what's going on with Facebook, and when I Twitter, like someone just retweeted a tweet I did like 5 years ago. I was like, what the hell? The video doesn't even exist anymore, and yet they're liking it.
yeah,
And I'm like, come on, bro.
everybody's getting that now, like, random porn bots will just, like,
They're
fish out
super hot though.
random
They're super
replies.
hot.
I wanna, like, befriend one, you know what I think that'd be fun to just have, like, a harem of porn bots. Like,
I'm getting a lot of bots on Discord now. Like it's the weirdest.
oh, really?
Yeah, Discord. I'll have.
Oh, I did get a scam recently. Somebody was like, "Hi,
Yeah,
I don't mean to be
hi.
rude,
Yeah,
but did
exactly.
you get the 3-month" Oh, you got that too?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
Yeah,
It
I
all
figured that was
depends.
automated.
It all depends. Sometimes I'll chat with it just to have fun, and other times I'm just like, yeah, ignore. Yeah. So
Someone tried to hijack me one time, that was crazy.
really,
Yeah, they, like anybody if this scam ever happens to you, like, just know. They were like, "Hey," we had, like, a mutual server in common that was, like, kind of obscure. So I was like, "Oh, this kinda seems legit." They were like, "Hey, I'm, like, an indie developer, you know, I like your content, da 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 da. I was wondering, like, if you could, just, like, play my game for me and tell me what you think." And they had, like, screenshots and shit, and, like, I remember, like, reverse Googling one, and I got nothing. I'm like, "Oh, this kinda seems legit." And then I got it, and I ran it through, like, every test, right?
hmm?
And, like, yeah, it was like a full-on fucking it was a Discord. It was like it wasn't even a keylogger, it was like it would, like, hijack your Discord and shit and, like,
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah,
grab
yeah,
a bunch of yeah, grab a bunch I was like, "Oh my god."
yeah.
And so I told the person who, like, ran the server, I'm like, "Get them the fuck out of here now because 'cause they're probably messaging more people."
Yeah,
But,
there's a link going around where people would click on it, and then all of a sudden it would take over their stuff. Yeah, gotta read. Don't click.
ugh,
Never click. Which is funny
you
because a lot of people
know?
don't even read past the title of an article. So it's amazing they go past to click on something.
Oh. I wish people read the titles of articles. I feel like they just look at the thumbnail.
Oh my god, people say the dumbest things when they come into my chat sometimes. They're like, "Well, this is happening," and then I read the article. I'm like, context is everything, and you didn't read past the fucking first sentence." Yeah. Chat, I appreciate everyone coming out and hanging out with us. We do this podcast here and there. It's not a specific day. We do it on Wednesdays though. When we do this podcast, 30 podcasts, chatting with, you can watch our past broadcasts of the Kingard. There's another YouTuber does sort of like essay type of videos. They're really funny and entertaining, so go check those out as well. Check out Miller over on Twitter. You can check out his Twitch. All the descriptions are down below. If you like what we do here, I do Monday through Thursday live streams from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. We just read the news and have conversations with chat. We also do uploads every single day. And then we also have gameplay Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays when I'm not doing a podcast. And then I do another podcast on Thursday nights called Generation X Gaming, which is a weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. We're 10 seasons in. I've been doing that for a really long time. So if you like podcasts, if you like me, come and check us out. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. And I appreciate you guys all coming out and hanging out with us. You guys have a great one.